my glasses.
It's all red. Yeah, my dumb glasses.
Hey, have you seen those Rocket Money ads?
I don't think so.
Okay, you know what Rocket Money? You know what Rocket Money is? It's an app. It you put all your shit in, and then it tells you like excessive subscriptions that you have that you're not using, and it's like, hey, you want to get rid of this? And you say, yeah.
Oh, nice.
I keep getting the ads. It's probably because my phone takes note of all this stupid ass gas station purchases that I make. And it's like, hey, this guy's fucking dumb with money. Maybe he wants this. And
you think it follows that?
I don't know. Probably. Who knows? But I
wouldn't be surprised at anything. But
yeah, well, it's probably also all the Caleb Hammer that I watch. But anyway, the Rocket Money ads are hilarious because they're so over the top. It's always like one chick coming up to another chick, and she's like, "Hey, can I save you some money?" Like, oh yeah, sure. Okay, let me download this app. Okay, I see here you have 16 Hulu subscriptions and 8 Netflix subscriptions, and you're paying for the same OnlyFans 5 times. Rocket Money can delete that for you and save you $7,000 a month. Like, what retard are you marketing to? Like, who does that? Like, I don't know. Maybe I could see. I've never done it, but I could see one extra Hulu subscription on accident. Maybe, kinda, but who are you talking to?
I can't picture multiple subscriptions of the same thing, but I'm probably pretty sure I have some subscription out there that I've completely forgotten about and should get rid of. But isn't there something on your iPhone that just does that for you anyway?
You have an iPhone?
I'm gay.
I'm just kidding. I don't really care. I just have to do anytime somebody has like a whatever truck, I'm like, oh, Dodge. Okay, fag. I give zero shits about that. Whatever team they like, I act like it's the gayest team ever. I don't watch sports like ever. But speaking of which, we should probably get in a word from this video is sponsored, and I'm going to send you our sponsor's clip that he wanted us to watch in the chat. Okay. Today's episode is brought to you by Jeremy of the Quartering Coffee Brand Coffee. This guy, I don't know if you guys have seen The Quartering. He does fantastic political analysis.
The media wants to.
And
you hearing that?
This is just, this is just a small dose of the awesome that Jeremy from The Quartering does. Listen to him, like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell for him too, because sometimes his stuff doesn't show up because YouTube's trying to suppress him because he's speaking the truth. All right, go for it.
Yeah, I don't want to do any ads on this episode, but Coffee Brand Coffee, you can buy it for a discounted rate right now at any of your app stores. Go buy Coffee Brand Coffee, but no ads on this.
No ads, but like those fucking vitamin things. Like I toss and turn when I sleep. But now that first off, I got my Helix mattress that perfectly fitted it for me. I used to toss and turn all the time.
If I was doing an ad, I would want to mention the Helix mattress, but we are not doing an ad.
Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. But we are doing a brief ad for the sponsor.
Use the Bean Dream. Do you sleep better than ever with Bean Dream?
Bean Dream? That's what I was thinking of. Bean Dream. I can't go back.
I was wondering what vitamins Matt Walsh was taking, and I found out what they were, and I was like, I got to have those vitamins if he's that vitamined up. And I saw on his face he was very vitamined up. And
Bean Dream, I got 2 analogies for you with Bean Dream. The difference between my life pre-Bean Dream and my life after Bean Dream, it's night and day. It's kind of like when I got a bidet and I used it for the first time. I was like, I don't know, something shooting up your butt. Feels kind of gay. But I tried it. I was talked into it, and I felt so clean and refreshed that I was like, oh my God, I was just walking around with shit on my butthole all the time. And I look at everybody else, I'm like, there's shit on your butthole right now because you don't have a bidet. You're disgusting. And it's like that. That's a level of difference. Or like the first time you get
you're disgusted with people who don't use Bean Dream.
Yeah, just like that. Well, that's the night and day difference between me walking around with a poo covered butt crack for most of my life.
Well, I can tell
compared to me having a nice, shiny, clean asshole. It's so different. It's like having the first time you get to have sex with a woman, you can never go back to jerking off. It's just not the same. So that's the difference between Bean Dream and no Bean Dream. You got to try it. Try code Porch34 for 10% off for a limited time.
No ads is the code.
No ads. Yeah, no ads is the code.
Adless episode of this, which, by the way, the workout program by the boys. I mean, I was wondering how those guys were working out, and like they're so shredded. And I was just like, I gotta work out like the boys work out. And they told me about this workout thing where you can confuse the muscles because you got to mix it up because you just get two in the same routine. And anyway, no ads this episode. On to Jeremy.
Yeah, but like I said, this is sponsored by Jeremy the Quartering. Go check out his channel for just heart-throbbing political analysis like this.
The media wants to talk about it, but they don't like. That's very different. That's very, very different. Very, very different, isn't it?
It'd be hard to sit there and.
I think it's very different.
This is a great clip. Is he reading the comments or something?
I don't know.
His eyes
it's very different.
It just keeps going.
Celebrating the death versus.
Was he on? Did he think it was on? Was somebody on and he didn't realize they weren't talking or something like that? I imagine I sit there looking like that.
No,
he
wasn't.
On something.
This was like an individual.
That's his actual.
He actually had that video. Like this isn't like a live stream. This is maybe it was a live stream. He flipped it out, but there's one of his 11-minute videos that he makes so the algorithm gets it. And he's like, "Fuck, I don't have anything else to say," and he never has much to say. He's got like 40 seconds worth of material to expand into 11 minutes worth of content. Fuck, even for me this is hard. So he just said very different. I'm pretty sure 11 times.
You counted
it? I can't remember.
Yeah. Anyway, gosh. Well, good to not have any ads for that type of content. I mean, you get that type of content, you don't have to listen to any ads. You know, I listen to the Quartering. We've said it before. I listen to him a whole lot because he is Johnny on the spot on everything going on Twitter. But everything that he says, he literally could just update me in 30 seconds. Like, this is going on Twitter now. And,
I wish there were 30-second blurbs, like little shorts, but it can't be. It's got to be 12 minutes.
It's kind of because I sent you like a video last night, and we might talk about it tonight, of all this weird stuff going with trans prison inmates with women in Ireland. And it was Graham.
I don't think I watched that.
It was Graham Linehan's channel. It was just a little 30-minute video, and there's some crazy stuff. This trans person was in there for years. They had all these stories that she assaulted and said she would rape one of the prison guards and one of the other people, and then she got out and because she got declared innocent or some sort of thing on a trial. And then a journalist went and talked to her on the way out. I'm saying her, it's a he, and comes out and says, "What about those claims that you made?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, those claims. I'm going to follow through with them. I'm still going to get those guys. I'm going to rape them and I'm going to get them." Like on the way out of the thing. And then he has all this other stories of these like people in the prisons, like sitting there growling at the women from some place, and like Graham Linehan's doing it. Anyway, I was on that because Graham Linehan just barely started his channel, and there was only like 200 subscribers to it. It'll get bigger, but he just barely started his own channel. And I thought it was really like kind of weird and esoteric that I found it and caught it. And I sent it to you guys, but then this morning, like Jeremy sent it out. I'm like, he really does kind of scour, stuff really well. So he's like kind of the first one there with each like little thing. If you don't want to sit there and watch Twitter all day, yeah. But then you have to sit through one of his commercials. I don't even mind that he kind of slow talks, tells you what the thing is, but it's always got the commercials at the beginning. Anyway, President Nelson has died at the age of 101. I guess we're just going right into it. Stories close to just speed through the ads. I like stuff like, and maybe it's kind of unfair of them to do, but Brett and Heather Haying and Actual Justice Warrior change the colors of their background when they're doing ads.
Yeah.
So you can That's probably. I wonder if like the ad people catch on to that and say, "Hey, knock that off! Don't do that," type stuff. But that's really cool of them to do that. But I don't take the time to really jump ahead of them all the time.
I'm pretty sure it's Sinatra up there saying, "Did you know that YouTube Premium offers 3x speed?" Yes, we know.
Oh yeah.
I can only use it on guys like the Quartering.
I can use it on the Quartering. I can use it on Scott Adams, and that's about it. Like, there's a couple. I cannot use it on there. I can't use it on the Lotus Eaters at all. Like, I lose track of that British accent entirely on triple speed.
Oh, so do I.
But have you noticed? I don't know if you've noticed. Triple speed's not true triple speed because it chokes too much. So you might as well be listening at double speed. It chokes and chokes and chokes and chokes, and then just slows it down.
Most of the YouTube I listen to is like when I'm at work, I'll have an earbud in or something, and I'm like way right out I'm way out in the desert, so I don't get very good signal, and 1.5 is about all it can handle without buffering every 10 seconds or so.
So it'll choke on double speed too. I mean,
sometimes
triple speed chokes, and I've tried it where my internet's perfect. I've tried it where just on my landline, I've tried it. It chokes, so it's like not the greatest. All it does is like give you little bits of.
Yeah,
I might as well just be going. Anyway, enough complaining about that. Or I definitely would listen to the Quartering on triple speed every time, if not.
Wow, Maple Lake Mountain has a wife named Morgan and 3 boys.
Oh my goodness!
And we have a lot in common. And he said,
he's the Australian.
And our oldest boy, I don't know what he's going to say. Maybe he's going to say his oldest boy's name Lucas. I don't know. Nifty.
That's awesome. President Nelson dies. I heard that like right after it happened on that night.
On the Quartering?
No. Yeah, the Quartering got there.
So Russell M. Nilsson died, and it was really sad. I'd say it's really, really
I didn't even check to see. He probably did cover it somewhere. Yeah, that's funny. The Quartering cover it. It was like 11:30 at night. Hey, this is the Quartering. Your prophet died. Yeah.
He might have mentioned it briefly if that shooting didn't happen like 5 hours later.
Yeah. He probably just immediately got into the shooting, I'm guessing. And then a bunch of people like mentioned like maybe this had something to do with his prophet dying last night, and he was so torn up about it he went on shooting. And like when I heard people guess that right at the very beginning, I was like, that is the least plausible.
Wait, what was that?
Some people started throwing out who didn't know anything about the church all over like Twitter, like their prophet died last night. He's probably rampaging or something like that.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, the other least likely thing I heard was it was some MAGA nut getting revenge on the Mormons for the murder of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, probably not. I mean, he seems like he was a MAGA guy.
It could have been more feasible.
That's more feasible than the thing you said.
Oh, yeah. I imagine some Mormon, no, President Nelson's gone. I'm taking the ward out with me.
And that's almost as dumb. That's just about as dumb as the we don't know who killed Kirk. Maybe Yosemite Sam was out there firing off gunshots in celebration, accidentally clipped his buddy in the fucking throat.
Man. Anyway, I can't believe he lived as long as he did. But what did you think the second? I mean, I know you posted something nice to the thoughtfuls in the other.
Yeah, I know. You said the same thing I said, that like he's probably my least favorite prophet of my lifetime, but like I was still like, he's done a lot. He's a renowned heart surgeon. He's probably saved thousands and thousands of lives with
he did good things.
His breakthroughs in heart surgery and stuff like that.
Steve says he'll always be thankful for him to taking it down to 2 hour church. And if I was still active, I would have been super thankful for
what was it that you said? If you like aggregate the amount of hours of lives saved with the 2 hour church reduction, he might have saved more people, like more hours of life that way than with the heart breakthrough.
With the heart thing.
Yeah. Charles says he outlived Hinckley, which is all he ever wanted.
Yeah, that's true. Wasn't that so weird? Wasn't that so weird that he obviously did have some sort of grudge against Hinckley? I don't think that's even really deniable.
No, there's no way it's deniable. How do you deny it? Like, because I mean, he gets up there. I think he was kind of going rogue a little bit, but thought he was in line, saying like, "We don't say Mormon anymore." And then like the next fucking time Hinckley addresses the church, he's like, "Yeah, we do."
And then he got tested. So
fuck that guy. Do your Hinckley. Say fuck that guy.
brothers and sisters, fuck President Nelson. I'm seeing him now at the end of his dispensation. And I will be giving him the largest atomic wedgie the Mormon church has ever seen. And there's been some big ones. Yeah.
That was somebody was talking about. Somebody made some joke in the Lobsters group, I think, about how his entire presidency is just a bitch slap to Hinckley. Like, I built more temples than you. I fucked off with the word Mormon.
Yeah.
I opened more missions. Just a bunch of shit that Hinckley was like known for. He did more of.
I saw Rebecca Biblioteca predict a recent one, and I think she was probably right. One of the only modern prophets who had a hymn was Gordon B. Hinckley. And what were they doing? They're revamping the hymn book. And guess what happened just recently? President Nelson wrote a hymn. And it hasn't come out yet or anything, and now maybe it won't come out like this, but her prediction is one of the changes in that book is President Hinckley's hymn would be out of the new book.
Oh man.
And his hymn would be in the new book. And I was like, I want to follow through with this one to see what happens. And now it's messed up. We can't see if that's true or not. that one would have sealed the deal.
I know. You dick.
Yeah.
You spiteful dick. That was like someone talking about Pete Davidson going to Saudi Arabia.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, why the fuck is Pete It was Anthony Camilla's. Why the fuck is Pete Davidson going to like the most famous 9/11 victim?
I think the only reason he ever got Saturday Night Live is because he was a 9/11 victim.
And then they're like, I don't know, maybe he's gonna go up on stage and like whip out an Uzi and just mow everyone down. It's like the most like thought out like
revenge plot.
Yes,
ever.
I'm gonna become a comedian.
That would have been
want to Americanize, and they're gonna want to have PR. They're gonna have comedians come over there, and it's been his plan the whole time.
If he did do that after years of being like, there's no way I could ever respect that dude. I'd be like, and he pulled it off. He went it. I can't believe he pulled that off.
Holy shit, man.
Ever anybody, I thought. But
we found his journals. They've been documenting this since he was 11.
Instead, he found a way that I could be less respectful of him, which was hard as well. Like either way, it's pretty impressive that, because I thought there was nothing beyond zero. He couldn't go below zero and he couldn't shoot back up. But taking that gig, he went below zero. But if he took out the Uzi, he would have shot it way back up. Have you ever laughed at a Pete Davidson?
Well, there was that. You showed me that Saturday Night Live thing. I think it was, or no, it wasn't you. It was the one where, and it's terrible, but it was like the hot school teacher essentially like statutory rapes the young high school.
Oh yeah, and there's like, oh boy, yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
But even that's not like original. Like anybody who's ever thought or even heard about some hot school teacher doing something like that to you when you're in 6th grade has had that joke in their head.
Oh yeah, but I've never watched any of his stand-up. I've watched very little Pete Davidson.
Did he do stand-up?
I'm assuming he did.
He used to have those like little moments on the newscast where they'd let him just talk, and where he mostly just talked about his mental illness. It was like the origins of being mentally ill, trauma, millennial comedy.
I know he's a millennial, isn't he? Fuck. It's millennial humor got stale so quickly. It's weird because it got like humor gets stale at a certain rate. It progresses and progresses. Like you got boomer humor gets funnier and funnier to the crowd that's there. and then it starts going down. And then you've got this other line that's millennials, and they intersect at one point, and millennial gets funnier and funnier. And then at some point, the millennial, you would think the slope would be the same, but it's not. The millennial humor plummets faster than the boomer humor. And it's just like, yeah, I'm a nihilist. Yeah, I actually have all these mental illnesses. My girlfriend broke up with me because of my social anxiety. It's crippling.
And imagine him going and telling that to the Saudi Arabians for $400,000. Yeah, after you killed my dad, I got on Prozac, got some tattoos and cigarettes, and then was all depressed that I banged all the way out of my league all over Hollywood for 10 years.
Honestly, I think the funnier one is Bill Burr. That one is so funny because people keep bringing up old clips of his where he's like talking about Beyonce going there to do some tour.
Bill's
like you're their dancing monkey. They're paying you for their blood money, all this shit. And he does it. And he comes back on his podcast talking about how amazing it is.
Oh, the place is so great. It's so beautiful.
Oh, yeah. There's a KFC right there. Yeah, no, seriously. There's a Dunkin' Donuts. There's a McDonald's. There's a Burger King.
Their slaves are so respectful. Everywhere. If only our slaves could be that respectful. Their slaves don't so respectful.
Nobody has white privilege there.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. And he's the guy going around cheering on shooting Luigi Mangione and all that. I mean, Luigi Mangione shooting all that sort of deal.
Stupid jackass. That was such a bummer because he was one of my all-time favorites.
Reese says, I appreciate Nelson's reasoning for banning Mormon, but there should have been direction against correcting outsiders. I think the Mormon thing was, like most people, I think it was a ridiculous move.
I think it's a pet peeve of his.
I mean, I thought, because I swear you, Chris, were the guy that linked me to people saying that it was really, what it really came down to was internet searches.
Yeah, I did.
And it was really about search engine optimization. That's why they didn't want that.
Or other people like went along with it or realized it was worth it. But I think he had that bugaboo since forever because we were talking earlier about there was this thing kind of like subtweeting. There was this conferences back and forth where Nelson said, using the word, I can't do a Nelson, but he's kind of like using the word. He's kind of like that Family Guy. Seriously, using the word Mormon is a victory for Satan.
He's just less impersonatable.
Yeah,
Hinckley was distinct.
Yeah, so he had that bugaboo since before, but I think the rest of them got on because for sure people like Mormon stories and John Lynn and all those guys jumped on the SEO and turned the word Mormon into as soon as you're Googling anything Mormon.
I'll be right back. I got some
anti-Mormon, ex-Mormon stuff type deal. But I think that absolutely maybe was part of a wee bit. Anyway, so they're going to announce it's going to be Oaks. What do you think is going to change with the Oaks? Is there going to be all sorts of... Do you think they'll change it back? They can't do it right away. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they'd even announce it. I think they just kind of let it die.
They just kind of let it go and not start saying it.
I mean, because that was one of those things where it's like, I remember when they announced it and like the general reaction from members was like, yeah, we're not doing that. Like, that's okay. Yeah, whatever.
Well, I mean, a lot of people do, and then all over the internet, people will kind of tell people, "Don't you dare!"
Yeah, I think there's a certain class of people that like to use it as a bit of a cudgel, but that's all.
I thought it was pretty funny. We haven't really gotten to the attack yet, but this Babylon Bee thing here is talking about
great.
Mormons respond to attack by continuing to be amazingly kind to everybody. But down at the bottom of it, it's got this little bit right here where it goes,
"Yeah."
At closing time, 2 members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or Motcojcolds, Motcojcolds, as they like to be called.
That's good satire.
That's also the kind of satire that the Onion can't do because they don't know any Mormons.
Well, that's an ex-Mormon thing. That's the Exmo subreddit's been using that acronym for a while. Well, since Nilsson did his thing. They started using the Codgecolds, and it became kind of cringy because then they did it every single time. Like instead, okay, yeah, we get it was a joke, but like you don't have to say every single time you say Mormon, just say Mormon.
Here, let me take this prediction by the Biblioteca here. I actually can't. This stuff drives me nuts.
I predict, of course, that there is going to be even more mention of the family proclamation. Would they dare canonize it? I can't imagine that they would do that. That would be incredibly problematic. Dial that back in 10 or 15 years when they have to. So I vote no on that, but you never know.
Why are they going to have to, Biblioteca?
Well, it's just that it's the Cthulhu swims left thing, and so Mormonism is just on one of Cthulhu's end tentacles.
Yeah.
So they're going to get there someday. That's sort of the assumption. I am skeptical that the Mormon Church will ever allow like gay temple marriage. Like I kind of don't see it happening. There's a good section of the PR people that I think would allow it, but I don't know. I don't totally see it happening.
I mean, like a million years ago on Mormon Expression, John Larson had a whole episode why the church can't change on gay marriage. And because it really comes to because the most fundamental things about Mormon theology, especially in the afterlife, would become totally nonsensical.
Yeah.
If you allowed gay marriage, it rips the pants off of the whole eternal marriage thing.
Well,
they always try to compare it to the whole black people getting the priesthood thing, but that doesn't have that same implication.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Starbase says, I saw Rebecca comment that she was taught in the church to not say the name Jesus. Yeah, I saw her say that too. She said it was supposed to be Savior or something like that.
Oh.
I never had that.
I mean, I was taught not to say, like, Jesus Christ, you know. Like, you put a stank on it and they get mad at you, but...
Yeah. I don't know. That whole assumption, the assumption of those progressive Mormons that because there's activist nut kids screaming about it today, it must surely go that way. Heck, that's what happened with the black people. And no, it's a different issue. It's getting turned back. We have some evidence tonight that stuff's not going that direction, Biblioteca. Well, they're just going to have to switch that around in a couple of years. No, they're not. I actually predict it's the worm has turned. And maybe you should listen to Ezra Taft Benson's Cycle of Pride talk a little bit better, because no, I do not think that they're going to have to go that direction in 15 years. But sometimes the Mormon Church is pretty good at making that change right when it was dumb to.
Yeah, somebody was asking me about the Nelson thing, like at work. They're like, "Who's going to be the next prophet?" I was like, "It's going to be Oaks." You know, I don't know if they've announced it yet. I don't think they have, but it's always the senior most guy. Like, well, who would you want it to be? I was like, I want them to resurrect Ezra Taft Benson and have him come back and just lay down the fucking law on the commies. Commies are excommunicated. That's a fucking temple recommend question now.
Well, do you guys want to risk our channel?
Again? Are we gonna watch some Comedy Central?
Are we gonna talk about Twat Watch?
Twat Watch?
Oh yeah, there it is.
Divas the day after.
It is Twat Watch.
It is Twat Watch. The very day after, like this is after the shooting, still just the very next day, the next night. But I guess he went all over Twitter, and his whole episode was him bragging about how he went all over Twitter, just being the most Reddit atheist dunker on everybody saying, well, gee, Willikers, Russell Nelson died. And it's like, it's one of those things that at my angriest atheist phase, I would have been like, knock it off, douche. Like, not today, doink bag. Like, give it a rest. Like, give it 72 hours, you knuckle. You know, at my angriest, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I talk about my angry ex-Mormon phase, but like, I saw the other angry ex-Mormons. I was like, you guys are...
Yeah, no, I can't compete. I can't compete with any of that. But there was definitely times where I just been like, yeah, good riddance to that guy or some sort of thing like. But I never ever would have said it publicly or argued with people on Twitter or been mean to somebody who's saying, "Oh, gee, he's dead," or never. It never once would have crossed my mind. And we've already seen stuff like Britt Hartley has some things about, "Hey, atheists, I hate to tell you, you're not helping anybody or helping your cause. If when somebody dies, you answer with, they're actually a really bad person, actually, okay." But
Word Radio. God be with you till we meet again, President Nelson. See, folks, this is religion's greatest fairy tale, is that you will see your loved ones again after they die in some kind of a great beyond. There's simply no evidence.
Get them, Reddit divas. Get them.
I hate when they say there's no evidence of that. What? Duh.
You don't say.
That's the whole point. They say there's no evidence of it. We haven't been able to scientifically detect heaven. Yeah, they say it's magic, you dipshit. You measure Gandalf's staff too? Holy fuck.
There's no data, no proof to back up this assertion.
You don't have proof of that. Oh, God be with you till you see me again. There's no proof this situation's happening. Okay.
That's that stupid God page every now and then. He posts the same stupid ass shit. Usually it's to try to get somebody to say, MAGA is dumb. But every now and then he'll be like, what do you do as an atheist when a Christian says, I'll pray for you? And I always respond, the only right answer is, thank you.
That's cool. Thanks.
That's it. Thanks. Because you know what's happening is a person is fucking wishing you well. Like, you think that they're wishing into the ether. That's the worst case.
No, yeah.
Somebody is putting nice thoughts and they go nowhere.
The liberal atheist is going through like some horrible tragedy. Like, oh, I'm having such a hard time. I just got cancer. I'm like, oh, I'll change my Facebook profile for you. I'll put Cindy has cancer on my.
I stand with, what's your name?
Yeah, and then some Mormon pops in and goes, "There's no evidence that changing your Facebook profile does anything." Maybe I should start doing it because Divas is totally the type to change the Facebook profile. Be like, "Oh, you did this cool, great thing, Divas. You're very much a moral person. Everybody sees it." And I'll just chime in like, there's no evidence that this does anything to help anything.
It's a comforting, wishful thinking passed off as truth.
Whoa.
You got him. And they're just posting, he's like posting all over Twitter. So this whole episode's going through that. I can't show all of them or we could get a channel strike. Oh, yeah, right. But yeah, I thought that was really, the term is gauche. Gauche. I honestly wouldn't care if he'd done it by Wednesday or something like that. You know what I mean? But it's like, it wasn't even 24 hours and the shooting was that same morning.
Well, even if it wasn't
thought this
gauche,
is the way to go.
Even if it wasn't gauche and that wore off, it'd be cringe.
Look at his first comment. I really wondered whether I should read this episode, but obviously I did. Did I make the right decision?
Check me down in the comments and smash that like button.
I like how Diva's morality is to always think about if I should have or should not have done that after having done it. But I guess that's how you do it. Let me see here. Here's one more from Divas. I'm really risking it here.
Very few church critics on X who could be considered as ex-Mormons. John DeLynn rarely posts Bill Real Radio Free Mormon. They're completely inactive. Remo the Mormon, I don't even think he has an account. Lindsay Hansen Park, Colch used to do a lot on X, but as far as church critics are concerned,
I wonder why.
Why
did Colch stop?
Why is Colch like afraid of the internet world?
the wasteland. But your humble host, don't worry. I'm picking up the slack for all of those other slackers.
Oh God, he really leaned into that one.
I cut it off. But where did you create that vacuum yourself, Divas? Did you chase them off?
All of those other slackers. Very few church.
Actually, Risto pointed something out. Kwaku is very active on Twitter.
That's a good point. That's a good. that's a very active non-Mormon.
God, I really hate Arizona.
I said it before, so I guess Forrest Gump, Chris Hanna. I'm not pointing them out, but my high school girlfriends, the gal who sent me on a mission and didn't technically Dear John me because I Dear John her sort of, but it was like weird. her mom died and her dad remarried Russell Nelson's daughter, and he's there in that picture, but she isn't. I don't know why. I guess stepchildren aren't part of the eternal chain or something like that, or maybe they don't want to be there. I have no idea.
Did I tell you about my dear John?
Uh-uh.
Oh man, this is one of the most cringy Mormon things I've ever done. Is this girl I was dating in high school. She was very sweet. We dated for like 2 years, and she was a Lutheran. She's very supportive of the whole mission thing, and I actually think she probably would have waited for me if I hadn't been, such a cunt. And obviously, I'm glad everything worked out the way it did. But at the very beginning of my mission, when I was I'm in Nebraska. I'm trying to evangelize to her because I was like, I want to marry this girl, and I got to marry her in the temple. So I gotta like convince her. And I had a very zealous trainer, and I'm writing letters back and forth to her about like her conversion process or whatever. I didn't word it like that, but I was challenging her to read parts of the Book of Mormon that I left with her. Fuck, it's cringe. I didn't want she
I felt you cringe on that one.
I know it's
Remember
no, it's word. The thing I said to her, oh fuck, it had to have been the end, right? She eventually she's very sweet, and she was like, look, can we send a few letters not about Mormonism? Can we just talk to each other a little bit? And she's like, every time I read the Book of Mormon, I feel like there's this wall between me and the Book of Mormon that just makes me not really want to keep reading it. And oh my God, the line I wrote back to her in response to that was, the wall between you and the Book of Mormon is the hardness of your own heart. Oh, I wish that poor girl, if she could have just made it into when I completely became the most dog shit missionary imaginable, it would have been fine. I'd have been like, yeah, we don't have to talk. I hate talking about this stuff. I've been talking about this stuff for like 9 months now. Fuck, I would love to just talk to a goddamn person. She'd be like, okay. But then I wouldn't have met Morgan, so
Yeah. My girlfriend, she's white. She came. I mean, we'd been dating for a couple years before. We were writing a little bit, and somewhere pretty early on into it, she just sent me a message. I won't say the whole thing, but the whole thing was like, "Oh, my friends are just gonna go to a frat party, and they're gonna be doing all this stuff. Do you care that I go to the frat parties and all that stuff?" And I just wrote back, "Don't write me." I was just like, I don't want to hear this stuff anymore, And that was it.
Dude, well, Facebook wasn't around when you were there, because when I became a shit missionary, I had like the shittiest companion who didn't want to be there either, and he was also a dick. But we'd go to the whatever, the computer cafe, whatever they call it, I can't remember, to do our emails. We were just supposed to do it for an hour, but we would stay there for hours. And I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna look at Facebook. Oh man, that hurt. Looking at Facebook and just watching people do fun things like that they enjoy. Just
a kid.
Life. I was like, oh fuck.
Well, sometimes
if I get hit by a bus at just the right angle, it could just like snap my leg in half, and then I would have to go home. But I wouldn't die.
Sometimes, like, I think the mission really did break me like that. Like, one of the only ways I can sit and do a boring office job is because the mission broke me that way. But I remember the first like 20 weeks, Saturday night, Friday night would come around, the time when me and my friends were usually having a fun, wild time, and I would just feel tortured like at those nights, like, I'm here doing this, I'm right here. But you never really crossed your mind, even though you knew it was true, that most of your friends were out there doing the same thing too. So it wasn't like there was too many parties going on back home.
I was the only fucking friend in my whole friend group. I was the only one that went on a mission. So they were all having fun. They were getting apartments together and having party nights.
Yeah, I had multiple groups that were like that. But then at the same time, you knew like all the girls that you knew were out there running around with the now returned missionaries. And you're like,
yeah,
oh, brother. And growing up, I saw so many different times that were successful or times that were not successful, of a gal waiting for a missionary. And everybody knew she was going around and making out with every dude in the school.
Oh,
and I can name off. I could name their names right now. I'll save their names. But I was like, that is not happening to me. That is not happening to me. I'm not going to be the person who has that all happening. So I just got like a little bit of letters like, hey, I'm like, don't write me, just stop. Like, we're not doing this. You know? Anyway, this shooting, man, that I wonder if Russell Nelson was mad about that. Like, well, took the wind out of my sails. No,
This was supposed to be my day. It's like up there in the, I don't know, maybe the prophets get to go straight to Celestial Kingdom and they can skip the whole spirit world thing. And he's just up there with his first wife now, just looking down there like, gosh darn it. Sorry about that.
Mormon, darn it. Mormon, darn it. That's this swear
So
word.
like, because I mean, if you go to Spirit, because remember the people in Spirit prison have to be taught by faithful members, and they're probably like missionaries, right? And they have companions, and so you can just imagine there's like some guy that converted to the church, like got baptized last week, and he gets there at the same time as Nelson, and they're Spirit prison mission companions.
You're a greenie. Like,
Every time my theory, I remember they were trying to explain to me several times growing up why, like, you want to convert people, because everybody tells that joke. Well, if they can just convert later, then why are we preaching the gospel for anyone?
Yeah. Like, aren't we doing
We're doing them a
people
disservice.
favor? Yeah, we're doing them a favor by not teaching them the gospel.
And they're like, well, and seminary teachers would always try to answer it by being like, it's actually a lot easier to accept it here. It's harder in the spirit prison. I was like, hold on a sec. If you're just sitting in your spirit prison cell all day, and the only fucking people that come and visit you are Mormon missionaries, that's gonna clue you into something.
Can you imagine?
You're gonna be like,
how do
process
I know that?
elimination here. I guess I'm Mormon.
Okay.
Like,
Think
you
about
say
this,
Celestial Kingdom, but how do I know there aren't 72 versions on the other side of this?
Think about this though. Imagine you're Charlie Kirk. They say come to Southern or come to Provo, Utah. Provo, Utah is great. You go on over to Provo, Utah. Next thing you know, warp zoom, you're in this thing called spirit prison. Like, the Mormons captured me. They got me.
You're the Mormons.
So
Would you like to convert?
many-
Fuck you.
like maybe Charlie Kirk, like right now, is still just sitting there like, they caught me in one of these weird Mormon warps. And he just isn't going to buy any of it because he thinks it's just he got caught in Mormon land, and they nabbed him up, the Mormon mafia, which, Candace might be thinking that that's all just actually happening in real life and he never died and he's just sitting there in some Mormon mafia prison right now.
Yeah.
How
long until she says it's a body double?
Probably already.
Nick asked if I still think Nelson has accomplished more save Jesus alone for the good of all mankind. No, that's actually here's the way the hierarchy of that works, because the original thing was Joseph Smith has accomplished more than anyone save Jesus alone for the goodness of mankind, right? And so then what you got to do is, once you get the next guy in, you got to say Brigham Young has accomplished more save Joseph Smith and Jesus for the good of mankind, and so on. So yeah, Russell M. Nelson has accomplished more good save Thomas S. Monson, Gordon B. Hinckley, Ezra Taft Benson, Howard W. Hunter, Spencer W. Kimball, and whatever's next, all the way down to Jesus. So he's accomplished more than most people. It's the only people who've accomplished more is like 40 prophets, like not 40, 20 something maybe. I don't know. How many prophets have there been?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, the guy just as a man puts me to shame, but he's got 60 years on me, so maybe I can catch up. But yeah, all the stuff that he did for Hearts and all that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah, because I was thinking about. I can't remember what group I posted in, but like, I wonder if you aggregate all the hours of life that he gave to people through heart surgery and compare it to all the hours regained by members saving 1 hour a week on Sunday, because like, I'll bet you that the 1 hour a week on Sunday is like millions to one of hours back.
Yeah, Jared mentioned that earlier. I think he thought I said it, but it was you. I didn't remember having said it, so I guess it was you who said it.
Oh, yeah, no, that was me.
Yeah,
reminds me of one of the funny things I did on my. There was a lot of things I did on my mission that really worried my more stalwart companions, and I thought that they were just jokes. But the stalwart companions always thought it was a sign I was leaving the church, and I guess they were right. I just thought they were jokes, you know. And so one of them was I, as a joke, calculated the amount of time that you normally spend in church every year, 3 hours a week. And then I calculated the amount of time you spend doing church stuff for the 2 years of your mission. And I subtracted that from the subsequent years. And I was like, so after I get back from my mission, the 3 hour a week thing, that's the minimum. So I don't have to go to church for the next 15 years. And it was clearly
I thought it would have covered
I don't
life.
know, Elder. That's
I
that?
thought it would have covered more than that.
Oh, it probably did. I'm just
Oh.
throwing a number out there. I can't remember it.
Because I'm still coasting on that number. That's the only. But yeah, I just did the math earlier today of all the hours that I worked, that I gave all those dollars to my mission, and it was like 3,300 as a teen. That's a lot of hours, and that wasn't like some of my money. It was 100% of my teen money that went into that. So that's 3,300 more hours. How many? I mean, isn't that enough to already cover 2 hours of church for the rest of my life? How much is that?
Yeah, now that we got 2, it's actually going to extend out quite a bit. Nick said
like, what
Nilsson
if you-
was my least favorite prophet in a wild total god complex. Yeah, we both said that earlier. He was our least favorite prophet of our lifetime.
Yeah, we're being complimentary. We gave it more time than Divas. We were ragging on Divas for being so gauche about just immediately bagging on him. But I would give it like a month or some sort of time. And I'm pretty sure that down the line, unless somebody really dumb comes along, I will very easily for a while be able to say Russell Nelson was the most irritating to me.
Yeah.
By quite a bit, because actually, like, out of all the rest of them, like, you know, I really liked Hinckley, just how his behavior was and all that stuff. I know people got mad at like how he talked to Larry King and all that sorts of deal, but
Yeah, that was dumb. But he was.
besides that, like, I like the guy.
Like a sweet father figure. That was the thing. Hinckley and Monson both had this sort of.
He's funny. He was listenable. Yeah.
They both, to me, felt like this is sort of a loving father figure, and I don't. Obviously, I wasn't Mormon when Nelson came onto the scene, but I don't feel like I could have possibly felt that from him. Even.
No, I'm glad that I wasn't at that time, because I think I would have had an issue with him just even as like a full member. He was bothersome, just in some of those things, not just the Mormon stuff, but I think like there was weird stuff about the Mormon church. Kind of, I don't go full conspiracy with it, but he did some weird stuff of aligning with globalist type stuff that I think was largely him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know the church does it in general, but I think he was more open to it than the rest of the guys. Mixing up, there was all this stuff about him like talking with these people from Islam and the Catholics about this sort of almost kind of WEF religious thing going on. It was weird.
Do you think?
I think we pulled it up on here.
Do you think he would have been, if he were still alive, do you think he would have attended that thing the other day that the Pope did where it was about climate justice?
He might have been smart enough to avoid that, but
I think he probably would have avoided
it. Nobody's been more hot and cold than Arnold Schwarzenegger to me either. Like, he said some of the dumbest stuff in COVID. Then just a while back, he said
Fuck your freedom.
He said something totally based about immigration. Did you hear about it?
Yeah.
Comments on immigration were? And now he's back there doing this climate change thing. Like, I don't know what to think about that guy. Man, I liked Arnold so much when I was a kid. I met Arnold.
You want to know the first thing I saw Arnold Schwarzenegger in? Jingle All the Way. That was my introduction to him. Oh yeah, I mean, I was in like third grade when that came out, and I got a Turbo Man that year.
I'm trying to think what actual movie I first saw him in, because I was probably Kindergarten Cop or something like that. But because I couldn't watch the rated R ones, but he was the first rated R movie that I saw. First rated R movie I saw was The Running Man, which they're about to screw that up coming out here. But there's a re-release of The Running Man coming out.
Troy brought up another urban myth. We were talking about urban myths earlier. He says, I remember that Kimball was the prophet when Empire Strikes Back came out because we all thought the resemblance to Yoda was deliberate. And that one carried on for a long time. I haven't seen it in a few years, but I saw it like as late as probably 2018.
There's nothing to that.
I don't think so.
I've never looked harder.
There was like people saying forever that like George Lucas intentionally modeled Yoda look and disposition after Spencer W. Kimball.
Nick says, did anyone ever hear about Nelson wrote the foreword to his own book of Spencer W. Kimball when he praised himself? Yes, I did hear that one.
Really?
Yeah. And it's true. And he also has the weird stuff like where he likely it's been enough days and we said enough nice about him, you know what I mean? But the he told some fibs kind of about a plane wreck and some fibs about a gun going off and not going click on his head, and the stuff's verifiably not true and stuff like that. And it was really weird stuff. And yeah, he just had some like weird tall tales and all that sorts of stuff. But because you can verify that plane wreck didn't go down the way he describes it and his stuff. But I don't know, memories are a weird thing. But and we also know, I mean, I've seen in person. Maybe it was my ex-mother-in-law, but I watched her embellish stories that I was there for so badly at testimony meeting, and part of me didn't know if she knew how badly she was embellishing them. You know,
No, I get that all the time when I'll say something that makes a bunch of people laugh, and then later I'll be in the room when my friend is telling the story, and like he'll say that he said the funny thing. In my head, I'm like, wait a minute, am I misremembering this? I'm not. I know I said that because I had the thought before.
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite South Parks. When
the
whole
fish
thing
sticks
about
joke?
the fish stick stoke.
Oh, and then
Like-
Cartman decides that he was.
'Cause I've had that experience where I'm like, where somebody's done that to me, where it's like, hey, remember when we came up with that thing? I'm like, no, I came up with that thing.
Well, I might have just done it earlier to you, but I didn't take credit for that thing. I said I didn't. I said I might have said that. I didn't know.
You misattributed.
No, I remember getting annoyed in the 6th grade because there was this kid that sat next to me, and I was a lot quieter, and I would say something, but nobody would really hear it, and then he would repeat it, and then the whole class would laugh their asses off, and that happened like 5 or 6 times over the course of like 4 weeks, and then he started dating the cute girl that I liked, and I was like, well, fuck, I need to be louder.
Nick says he's willing to bet $100 that the Oaks lights are on, but nobody's home. I mean, we put some footage on him here just a little while back when he was over at the MTC, and he was looking old.
Yeah, he was looking pretty bad.
But I don't know. Maybe he's still sharp enough to get. I mean, he's 10 years younger than Nelson almost. So.
I mean,
Yeah, but Nelson was exceptionally healthy.
like when the current succession policy was installed in the middle of the 19th century, where like it was unlikely that people lived past 80.
Yeah.
And so like I don't, obviously they couldn't plan for people living to 100.
Yeah.
And like I kind of wonder, like they're kind of stuck with old prophets from now on.
Just last night on the Reed Smoot hearings episode by Bill Reel and RFM, they mentioned that there is a precedent of one guy actually retiring back around the time of Reed Smoot. And so, I guess Hubie Brown or somebody was lobbying for them to start having a retirement age and got turned down for it. But they found one during the Reed Smoot hearings who had retired due to health, and so there's a precedent for it. Who knows if they'll bring it back? But I don't know. Christopher Dragon of Deseret says he's not gone as globalist as the Pope. I mean, I think that's totally the Pope.
Oh yeah.
The Pope just might as well be a global thing. And of course, you got those guys posting all over lobsters and all that stuff. Doesn't this great what the Pope said about abortion?
Dude, that was the most smooth-brained abortion take. I can accept that from dip fucks like Maven, who have spent zero time talking with pro-life people, except for the couple of hours she was here. But the whole, if you don't, well, this wasn't the Pope. This was the guy that was posting it.
I've got that whole thing here.
That was such an insufferable back and forth.
There you go. Is this one?
Yeah. Amen and amen. I understand how reasonable people can disagree on certain details when it comes to abortion, but how some people can claim to be pro-life while also being in support of cutting resources to pregnant women and new mothers' children in poverty is a paradox I can't get my head around. It's not a paradox. You're a midwit. If that. That's such a dumb, smooth brain take that Like, so okay, here's the deal. What you got to understand about pro-life people is that we think that the fetus is a human life just as valuable as any other human life, so ought to be afforded the same rights as any human. So you don't have the right to just kill any human. So you have to, if you're arguing with a pro-lifer, you have to frame it like that. You either have to disabuse them of that incorrect notion, or you have to argue why there should be exception for this case, right? And so you have to understand that when you bring this up, when you say, if you don't let her have an abortion, you should be willing to fund her baby. It's the same thing as if, to them, to the pro-life person, it's the same thing as if you were to say, you don't want this guy to kill this lady, you better be willing to fund his life. That's the same exact fucking thing. And
Anybody's life you save, you then have to that you then
Yeah.
owe them your bone marrow. I saved your life. I guess you get my blood.
And the
whatever.
Pope's arguments were pretty dumb too. Someone who says I'm against abortion but says I am in favor of the death penalty is not really pro-life. And that's fucking retarded. I posted a thing because I got in a big argument with Scott, and then I just posted my own post on the Lobsters group where I was like, okay, can you hold these two views in your mind and still be logically consistent? View number one, it's morally justifiable to execute a guilty murderer. And view number two, it is not morally justifiable to kill an innocent human. And everybody's like, yeah, why the fuck are you asking this? Like the people who weren't involved in the argument, they're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Can't wrap their brains about.
I know, you go, can't wrap my brain around this paradox. And that's the fucking difference, because you can act like, I'm very sympathetic to anti-death penalty arguments. The most sympathetic one is not trusting the state to carry out that justice effectively. So, and the current system we have, it's more expensive to keep them on death row anyway. So fiscally, it doesn't make sense to have a death penalty. Then that's fine. Let's not have a death penalty. I don't trust the state either. But if you're pro death penalty, like I'm not against the death penalty on principle, right? I'm like, if I don't know, the dude who stabbed that Zarutska girl on the train, I'm not against putting him to death. I'm not.
After I watched that one, I said that was the first time in my life that if I had a knife in my hand, I could do that guy right then.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'm not gonna like cheer when we put someone to death. It should be a somber occasion if we do that, but I think it's morally justifiable. I just don't trust the state to do it. But that's pretending those two are a similar thing. Oh, you won't let me kill a baby, but you're okay with killing this dude who just randomly schizoed out and stabbed an innocent woman on the train? Yeah. Are you fucking kidding me? Do you not see a difference here? I'm sure you see the difference here.
Making bets down there on who's going to be the counselors in the next apostle. I think it could be Corbett as the next apostle. I mean, they've been wheeling him out there to talk so much at other times. I saw Bill and RFM seem to assume that Oaks aligned with Russell M. Nelson, and I don't know that that's 100% true. I think Russell M. Nelson. I mean, I think Oaks has always just kind of been good at whoever's in there showing full allegiance, but I don't think that means that he's, he got along with Hinckley, he got along with Nelson.
If I had to have a guess at like there's politics, I would place Oaks at solid Warhawk neocon and Nelson at globalist, kind of almost Democrat.
Nelson, well, except Uchtdorf got moved out, and I don't even know if all those guys have their imagination that Uchtdorf. One of the things Biblioteca was saying, I cut that part off because it was the front, but Biblioteca says they think Uchtdorf's the great hope for LGBT and gay stuff. I'm like, well, why?
They've done that the whole time.
Anything that
Because they want to bone him.
Yeah, no, he's the silver fox of the group. It's been the way the whole time I've been in it. Because like I said, when I left the Mormon church, I was autistically on that subreddit. And the stance on Uchtdorf, they gave him it was like, it's like Hot Girl, like if Flip comes up to you and like kicks you in the balls, you're going to be like, what the fuck? You're going to throw a punch at him, or you're going to be like pressing charges. If a hot girl comes up and kicks you in the balls, you're going to be like, I'm sure it was an accident. And if she says, no, it wasn't an accident, you're going to simp out and be like, well, I'm sure I did something to deserve it. Like, no, you didn't. Well, I'm sure you just have a bunch of pent up rage against the patriarchy or whatever. You'll just apologize for her all the way down, and that's what the ex-Mormon did. They
have no reason to be imagining. Well, just because, and this might be the reason he was taken out of the presidency, is he was caught donating to the Democratic Party, and that might have been why he was punished entirely, because they don't want to be caught doing that stuff. Who knows if it was a punishment? But he was kind of one of the first ones in a long time removed from a presidency. But I don't even anybody like imagining they have inside stuff about that. They probably get it from Jim Bennett, and I think that you can trust that as far as you can trust that he's not a theater kid. I don't know what.
But he told us for sure that Jacob Hansen is not pleasing the brethren. There's some mafia shit right there.
I could see Bednar bouncing up. He probably would have chosen Holland, but Holland's sick. Maybe Eyring, but Eyring's sick. So he might jump to two of them because they're so kind of sickly, but maybe he just go with the two of them anyway.
Matt, is Eyring sick?
Yeah, Eyring's been sick. Yeah. He's been sickly. And I don't know. It's probably got to be Bednar. I don't know if he'd skip Dorf still.
We're going to have some like out of their mind profits until Bednar gets in there, I think.
Yeah. And it could be Corbett. I can't tell. I mean, Oakley, Oaks. Why am I saying Oakley? He just had that talk a little while ago about the Heavenly Mothers and all that sorts of stuff. And he seemed sharp enough. That was less than 6 months ago, right? I don't know. I can't tell. I can't. But his body is definitely frail. Anyway, well, I guess we'll all get to find out because it's conference weekend, and you know what that means. It's gonna be big. Fireworks. So exciting. I don't know. Oaks could be the type of guy who does do something exciting by the time he's.
So I'm looking at who's next in line. Next in line is
it's Holland.
Yeah, it's Holland and then Uchtdorf. Uchtdorf seems pretty healthy.
I thought it was Eyring before Uchtdorf.
Oh yeah, this is just the apostles. It doesn't show the first presidency. Shit, I don't even know the entire top row here.
Yeah,
I know Anderson, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 of them I couldn't name. I can name Gong, but it's just because he's Asian. That's the only reason I remember.
Racist.
But
yeah, such a racist name.
I know. Made me think about that next time they're Gong.
Yeah. Anyway, Oaks could do interesting stuff if he's.
My name is Elder Weston.
Yeah.
I am your apostle.
So
that is something that always cracks me up. That George just reminded me of is when I watch sometimes I watched a lot of soccer that's in Spanish because that's the only way I can watch it. But it's American broadcast Spanish. And so the announcers are like super fluent bilingual. And so they'll be like, blasting off in like, machine gun Mexican. But it's American soccer. So they'll be like, Brian Richardson, William Henrysburg. Like how do they do that?
And maybe that like drives the Spanish speaker crazy. Like, why has he got to pretend that accent as soon as he goes to the world? He got to do Brian, Brian. Like, come on.
Yeah, give me the Brian. They say it all exactly right.
We got some Starbase Club loves the conference, watch normal conservative values, and our ex-Mormon was freaking out about every problematic sentence. Yeah, I watch those guys' reviews, and it is to generally hate on their reviews. So, I hate watch Nemo's reviews. RFMs are a little different, but one of the funny things I think is if you watch RFM's reviews of it, I think RFM tries to guess what things will be firecrackers, and he's pretty bad at guessing what the psycho lefties go nuts about. He's a little bit too I don't know, adult to catch what will set him off.
Yeah, no, that's actually it. It's almost a compliment to him that he's too.
No, it is a compliment to him. Yeah.
He's too grown up and mature to understand what'll set these retards off.
Yeah,
that's our next episode. Is going to be called "We Hate Watched Their Hate Watches, so you don't have to."
We came up with an idea because, like, I had this old tweet that I found where this guy said, when I was a kid, they offered me a marshmallow, and I've withheld this long, and I just now received my 10 to the 36 marshmallows. And I was joking about how one of the things that we've talked about is these kids in boring religions grow up to be better at stuff in life because they had a delayed gratification. They learned how to wait and sit through boring stuff, and we've gotten weak and mentally lazy in our ex-Mormonism. So what we need to do is not we watch it so you don't have to. It's what do they call, like, raw dogging an airplane, as Christopher said it? Like, you got to go sit in there without your cell phone or something. We are going to sit and watch quietly in our Sunday bed and not say a thing for the mental gym of it. We need the
no
gym.
snacks,
No snacks.
Oh God, no.
No doodling. No
I didn't even do
drawing.
that as a Mormon.
no.
You remember a couple years ago that TikTok woman came up with the idea of quiet walking, where you just go out without your phone and you just walk around the neighborhood. It was
Novel idea.
groundbreaking.
Groundbreaking. The only thing you're allowed to do is you could have your brother sit next to you, and you're allowed to hit him in the knee. That's the only thing that you're allowed to do, because that's going back to the old ways we entertained ourselves. But
Yeah, your mom can scratch your back.
yeah.
So what? How much General Conference did you watch when you were growing up?
My parents. Well, I had to go to the priesthood session.
Yeah, so did I.
So that's enough of it. And then it would just kind of be on. My parents wouldn't force us, but they'd have it on every television and every radio station in the house. So, and we weren't allowed to go out really on Sunday. So Sunday for sure, it all got pumped into our heads. We didn't have to sit there watching it. We could have walked into the kitchen. Or
when I was younger, they made me watch at least one session, and then I also had to go to priesthood session. And then as the older I got, the more I was like, I don't want to do this. It's like, do you believe in the church? Like, yeah, but it's boring. I know what they're gonna say. They're gonna lecture me for looking at pornography. I know it. That's all they said for my entire adolescence. Was that you're watching too much porn.
And my mom would make me watch. Oh, sorry. But,
well, it was different because Morgan's family, it was like an event. They would all sit on the couch, have snacks ready. They would watch every single session.
I would take a bath. I would put it on the radio, and I would just take a long warm bath, and that was how I could get through it.
I always remember them being nice weekends, man. I mean, you didn't have church, families all around, hanging out, listening to stuff. Do
you remember the poor kids whose families made them get dressed for church to watch conference at home?
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't even know. I didn't even know they played in churches until I was on my mission. Because I will say, I got super hyped for General Conference weekend on my mission. That was the only time I was hyped. And I was not hyped.
I did too, on my mission too, because we got to go sit and watch it.
Yeah, I get 10 hours of just sitting here and turning my mind off. I'm not going to pay attention. I'm going to sit there. I got a bag of my fucking teeth, and I'm going to just sit there and fantasize about what I'm going to do when I get home.
Yeah. No, I mean, I actually liked the talks on my mission because, I mean, I felt like I needed some sort of lifter upper or something like that. But I got particularly picky on my mission of not wanting to hear the 70 because they were going to be especially vanilla. And like, oh, give me an apostle. They're going to actually say something. It's just so...
They're going to be the zone leaders trying to suck up to the APs so they can be the next.
Exactly. And I guess I never even really noticed that until my mission. Then on my mission, I totally noticed it. But we all had to like drive to a same place to go sit and watch it. So we got to be around all the missionaries of the mission and all that sort of stuff because it was getting pumped in at this other place. But I told you guys this already, and it kind of ties in to this because Risto was asking us if there really were rules against tattoos. And it was on my mission. It came up with this shooter that supposedly the shooter had an ex-girlfriend who told him that he couldn't have tattoos. And it was like, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. Like, it was brought up in the 99 conference and mentioned directly by Gordon B. Hinckley. I pulled it up, but I knew that because I had a tattoo artist in teaching, and I invited that tattoo artist with us to that general conference, and we sat there and listened to him go off about the tattoo stuff when I'm sitting right next to a professional tattoo artist. That's my Charlie Brown life.
Imagine when they like you take you get this rich owner of a vineyard and you think of all the tithing he's going to bring to the church, and you take him at the general conference where they announce that we're canonizing the word of wisdom.
Yeah. And that was especially tough because the way I hit it off with that guy is I was genuinely impressed and interested in his tattoo work. And so I just started looking at it, talking about it, and asking about it, and seeing the stuff, and having him show me what he was doing. He's really, really good at it, you know. And I don't have a tattoo to this day. I'm not interested in getting a tattoo. I was just interested in his art. He was good, and then that happened. Anyway, this side, the shooter, just a nut. Is that the answer? He's just nuts.
I think
Yeah,
so. He's got to
Sounds
be.
like
right?
mostly just a snap, like it's a snap situation.
Well, it was a little bit planned, but like a long time snap, like a slow snap.
Yeah,
Everybody guessing all
Like,
the
I
stuff
mean-
in the first couple days, but
because they said something about like he had the girlfriend, but
Yeah.
like, do we have any details like as to what exactly?
they said she was the sister of Miss Utah at the time, whoever that was.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's the most details we got. I know people were looking around because supposedly he worked as some snowplow and some sort of roofing stuff out here or something. And he was holding on to whatever grudge that was years later. I saw Biblioteca make a guess at it, and I thought this could be a good guess. Is what if he's going through current like divorce situations? And the Mormon Church is offering like assistance to the divorce, which is something that they do sometimes. Maybe that's happening, and we just haven't found out about it yet. But why is he going off and thinking in his head about some relationship 10 years ago? Of course, all this is just coming from some interview of a guy who like met him a week before. But went nuts. Dingbat did a psychotic thing. Shooting up people is already insane enough, but a little girl, you know, and geez, gosh, it was terrible. And thinking about that, and all those people going out to help him, but since then, like I listened to all the interviews about it since. Whenever, even in Michigan, Mormons sound like Mormons, man. Like in their interviews, it sounds like they're giving testimonies. Like it has the cadence and delivery of like testimonies and stuff like that. And I know they're going through like traumatic times and all that sorts of deal. But I guess the other big viral news of it is this, that I was watching on Ward Radio. I was watching live as the guy from Stick of Joseph came on and said that they had made a GoFundMe. There was already GoFundMe's going for the dead, the people who'd been killed. I don't think yet there was a GoFundMe going for just the injured people. And so then they decided to make a GoFundMe for the wife and the kids. And that's gone super viral, super huge. They've made a ton of money. It's probably, I mean, has anybody looked at the amounts lately?
I'll check it out. It was over 200,000, like close to 300,000 last time I saw it.
Yeah, it's up there. And I mean, it's a way commendable thing, super viral, all that sorts of stuff. I like the whole thing. But the reason I call myself Screwtape Lewis there is just a little bit of the question of like, I think that it's great that they're doing that for that woman and kids. Those kids obviously were probably innocent, but I think it should be capped at what the lowest victims amount is. And I hope that gets up to 225 too, or something like that. You know what I mean? But man, some of those victims things are lagging behind. I saw one that was still like 30,000 earlier, and those are I've donated to those.
It's difficult to say because some of them were like the victims. They all show their stories, and like some of their stories were like this guy was murdered, help us with funeral expenses, and you could imagine people would, you know, like 60 grand. Yeah, that'll cover it. It'll more than cover
Do you
it.
think it's enough or something like that?
Some of them are like he's had 4 surgeries and he needs another one, and those are like 160,000 or whatever.
Did they get? Because one I saw was 30,000. He had 2 abdomen shots. I saw that one. Just
that you're right. That one, the guy that's had 2 abdomen shots, that one was kind of strikingly low. Actually, I don't know. I don't want to shit on the people for this at all because
I don't
think they're doing. And
I
I understand the mindset of when this thing takes off, getting really into it and thinking this is where we show people what we are. Like we've got a moment. And we can show the world what, and they only get encouraged. I listened to that Stick of Ephraim or Stick of Joseph, whatever it is, where they were talking to the guy that started the GoFundMe, and like they read off one of the comments was from a somewhat prominent Christian dude who said something like, I take it back, Mormons are Christian. And so I can see, as a Mormon, that just setting a fire in your belly and be like, we need to get this shit over 1 million. It also does have kind
For
of...
sure, but then that's where I say Screwtape, because like, what would Screwtape say in CS?
I know.
Like it's
I think they
100%
should
like,
cap
what
it.
are you trying to show now? But I don't think it should be capped. I think they should make as much as they want to make, but a little less than the victims. I hope this guy gets up to 300,000. Does that make sense? And
I feel like
he's at 45. This guy's got 2 abdomen shots. He's got 45,000 raised.
Well, I don't remember what the first cap was. I think it was like 30,000 or something.
And
And
they boosted it.
well, they boosted it, and now it's up to 500,000. I think was the last cap that I
For
saw.
that one.
For the
I'm going to donate again to that 45,000 guy, because that is lagging too far.
It's just I don't know. Once it gets to the point where like, all right, guys, we paid off their mortgage, but there was this other guy here who got his ankle blown off by a bullet while he was trying to help people survive, and he runs a small business and he can't operate it for a while, and he's had 2 surgeries on his ankle in that time. Let's help him out a little bit. And again, I really don't want to criticize this, because it really is.
Yeah.
Like
It's the teensiest times. My only appeal is, let's boost those other people if we could.
I know.
Let's get those victims.
The problem is the fact that they donated it all to the killer's widow. That's the story. That's more of a story than any of these, and so that's going to go viral, and it's naturally going to garner more donations, because other people will see and become sympathetic and be like, oh, the Mormons are nice. Mormons will see it and be like, we need this to become even more of a story. And so I understand it.
The guy at the ankle's got 98. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's hopefully covers everything. The only part of this that outright pissed me off was when I was reading through one of these, and I sent you a screenshot of it where it said transparency, all excessive funds will go to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I was like, come on. What do you mean just give it to them?
That's one of the flip ends of a
hero that limped in on a bloodied ankle trying to save people's lives. Just give it to him. He'll pay tithing on it. I promise he will.
See, this guy, so this guy's goal is 15K. He's got 67, so that's going to be 50 going to the church. That's one of the guys who passed away.
We're still on the ankle guy. Oh, there it is.
I didn't switch on. 67 goal, 15K, so that's supposed to be. I mean, he just needs a funeral and all that stuff, but I don't know that 15K even covers a funeral nowadays. Troy says, I thought it was a wonderful gesture. I also thought it was odd that organizer included his full name, occupation as a sci-fi writer, and where to find him on YouTube. That's the Stick of Joseph, dude. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to be cynical about this. I do not want to, especially for the people, a little grandma hurt and all that sort of stuff. 53,000 for her. I don't know. I wish those things boosted and got to them. Although they might be, and this is one of the questions we had too, is like they might all be getting help from the church anyway, as well. And who knows if the church would help the shooter's family or anything like that. But I don't know. It's awesome. It's incredible. It's a cool news story and all that stuff. I just want the victims boosted the crap up there. That would complete it for me. Reese says, no matter that motive, the outcome is good. That is correct. I mean, I think that's generally, to not be overly, it's not to be cynical at all about it. It's just, get those victims up. Get those victims up, man. Get those victims up. And we have the kind of reach that's going to make that happen and going viral. But anyway, You think we're gonna find anything more out more about the stuff? What about the stuff of like we saw Carden Troy says that's a good little consequentialist resto. Carden, of course, maybe this is the time that you can grant him the Jew card or something like that. It was maybe a directed Mormon cause, but you
all right, you get one card.
We're letting you pass with one. That the Mormons are the new Jews type card from this guy. And there was a ton of people in the media, like that Rod Driscoll dude and stuff, who just they're such dipshits. Speaking of gauche, we said Divas was gauche. They coming out and saying, well, Mormonism is a bad theology and it's demonic. Anyway, some of that's almost as bad as like the Charlie Kirk stuff, if not just as bad, coming out and saying that sort of crap. I don't know how many of them said it after the shooting, though, but there was some people coming out and arguing the theology of it and that sort of deal. Starbase Close says, I've seen a lot of comments saying that 200B church should pay for everything. Just take another chance to dig at them. I don't think the church should pay for them. We were discussing this in our in some little chat group earlier, and we totally get the thing of the church. If they just start like paying out for everything, like where does it stop and that sort of stuff? I could totally see them carving out, and I wish they would carve out a spot for catastrophes. A kid in my parents' ward died in a scouting trip at Flame Gorge. And I know that family didn't get anything from the church. And there's a waiver sign, and there's all sorts of deal. But if they ended up having to like litigate, having to pay out for every single injury that anybody claimed anywhere, it would be impossible and a nightmare. So I get like having the waivers and not being able to do that stuff. But I would think that maybe they should carve out something for things that are that catastrophic. Shouldn't you be able to carve out and say, just like there's a catastrophic clause in any sort of like insurance or damage in the house or something like that. Like, yeah, we got the money that if something catastrophic happens to you, we're going to help a little bit or something like that. As far as this is good for the members to be charitable. Yeah. I don't know. Should they pay for it or not, or should they help? I don't know. Marty was wondering if like they'd be afraid of it setting precedent or something like that. It's so hard when you're so big and so universal and all that sorts of stuff. Wasn't there just like some bus of girls who died on some trip or something kind of recently?
In Mormonism?
Yeah.
And was that?
Are you thinking of the Texas thing?
No,
there's a thing in one of those enclaves in South Africa. Was it Eswatini or Lesotho or something like that?
Yeah. 2020, June 21st, 2025, African Kingdom, Lesotho.
It was Lesotho.
The bus was carrying more than 24 young women between the ages of 12 and 17 involved in a multi-vehicle crash. In addition to 11 people killed, 9 other hospitalized, and several more were treated and discharged. Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints expressed its heartbreak over the incident. Local church members and government officials, including the Prime Minister and the Queen, provided support to the victims and their families. I don't know like what they ended up, if they did or didn't pay anything into that. But Ryan says, bring back the Danites. Well, that guy took care of him. Wait, the cops shot him, right? They thought it was maybe one of the cops, because this is another big question. And I asked a couple people that I know of. So it's policy that you cannot concealed carry at the Mormon church.
They do not want you to bring your guns to church.
How many concealed carriers does that stop from concealed carrying?
Oh, fucking zero. You can make
zero. I would.
It's equivalent to the number of Mormons who stopped saying Mormon when they said don't say Mormon.
No, it's less than that. It's way less than that, I would say. I would say that the Mormonist people that I know who tried to stop saying Mormon and even tried to correct people, if you ask them, what about this concealed carry policy? They'd be like, oh, that's fucking dumb.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
I saw, it was on the Mormon newscast, Rebecca will be able to take it, says, well, I know they can't have a concealed carry, so there's not any guns in church. I was like, Rebecca, like, come on.
Don't you live in Utah? Haven't you met people?
So I asked my friend, not Kevin, which I have not asked Kevin. So Kevin is innocent, but I bet you I know.
What would you guess?
Yeah, I'm
guess?
not going to answer, but I asked another friend and he's like, oh, hell yeah. I go every single time. That sort of deal. But is the policy,
my boss,
all the policy is doing is giving some idiot like this a false sense of safety? Like, if the policy was just reversed, because the guns are going to be there.
Well, you remember that shooting in Texas in the church? Dude comes in there, pulls out a shotgun, blows one person away. It's tragic. That person died. And before he could get the next shot off, this dude who fucking awesome dude. Yeah, old guy. He just so happened to be like a crack shot who was like the captain of the local shooting team, pulls out his gun and just blasts a guy in his head. He even said in his interview, like, you're supposed to aim for center mass. I know that. Like, he's talking to the other gun people. And he's like, the reason I didn't do that is because he wasn't in the front pew. There was like 5-6 rows in front of him. So he had to aim higher. So just one shot just nails the guy in the fucking head. And he was just quick to the draw. You can see in the video, like a half a second after he makes the shot, like 18 other dudes in the congregation stand up and pull out their concealed carry. So yeah,
you can tell who's carrying the guns at church because they never open their scriptures because it's like the hollowed out Bible thing. That's where they keep it.
Yeah, just to explain it to Rebecca Biblioteca, imagine all those 1950s style people that you think are walking around are secretly gay. Forget that. That's not true. That's how many guns there are. Yeah, so some of the rumor was because this guy supposedly somebody was combating with him within 30 seconds. It was some cop. They're saying it was the cop in the ward, and they just didn't really want to admit that or say that right out, that he pulled his gun out and started going at him. Is the word on the streets, supposedly.
I think I heard the second counselor was carrying and he returned fire. And the first thing I thought was, man, if that's true, and if the church like makes a statement condemning him for disobeying their policy, I'm gonna be pretty fucking mad.
Yeah, that's
like
is the policy just advertising? It's like putting a sign on it, no guns in this house sign. Weren't there people going around to houses once saying like, are you against guns? Yes, I'm against guns. Okay, well, you put up the sign, no guns in this house on your front yard, and everybody's like, no. You
know, it's funny. I think you're going the wrong way with this. I think what they should do is make the policy more well-known, because if the policy was more well-known, then this guy that was planning this shit would be like, fuck, guns aren't allowed in there. Our knives, can I bring in a knife?
Yeah, that's right. He would have he just didn't hear the policy.
Yeah,
that's why he didn't know he was balked by the policy.
Some of the more callous comments I saw on that where obviously there's thoughts and prayers didn't work. Yeah, eat a dick, you absolute sack of shit. But the other ones are, where was the good guy with a gun? It's like, well, it sounds like there was a good guy with a gun in there that fired back. And you don't see the other universe where there was no one with a gun, where that guy had no suppressive fire against him. The guy with the gun didn't stand much of a chance because if he's concealed carrying, he's got a handgun and he's battling against a guy who gets the jump on him and has a fucking rifle instead. I think it was an AR, wasn't it? Like AR versus pistol. AR is probably going to win. It's easier to aim. And you've got a surprise attack in your favor. But if that dude actually did lay down fire on the AR guy, there's little doubt that he saved lives by doing that. And if the rumors are true, I'm not sure, that guy got hit and he didn't die, but he got pretty fucked up.
You remember the Sam Hyde had that little thing talking about, he asked Grok, like, hey, Grok, if I wave the Constitution at people, will it stop them from shooting at me? I'm gonna ask Grok the same thing, right? Grok, if the Michigan shooter, if the Michigan shooter Sanford knew the LDS Church had a policy against guns, would that have deterred him from carrying out the attack? Oh, what is that? Unable to confirm user authenticity.
You
never said that to me before.
I guess.
It's accusing you of being a troll?
It's never said that to me before. I'm gonna try Grok again on a different thing here. Hold on. Why did it say that? Maybe I just had it open for too long. Hold on. Trying again. Okay, it's going. Thinking about it. Think about it extra hard. Think about it. Real Grok's thinking really hard about this one. Oh, you're throwing me off here.
After this, you should check out Christopher's meme he just sent in the.
Christopher says a bishop recently sent out to his ward that we will abide by the church's policy, but I will not be patting down anybody at the door.
No, I'm sorry, in the group chat, he sent a meme. It was pretty good.
Grok
Oh,
must
there
be
it is.
broken. Read it, because I'm going to go look at the meme
No,
and
it's
read it.
highly unlikely that knowledge of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints' long-standing policy prohibiting firearms in its meeting house would have deterred Thomas Jacob Stanford from carrying out the September 28th attack on Grand Blanc Township Chapel in Michigan. Background on the policy. The LDS Church has explicitly banned lethal weapons, including firearms, on its premises since at least 2004, with a more detailed reinforcement in its general handbook in 2019. This applies to all church buildings worldwide, including meeting houses, and it's intended to create safe gun-free spaces for worship. Exceptions are rare and limited to law enforcement. The policy is publicly available on the church's website and has been very widely reported. It's so it's reasonable to assume someone with Stanford's documented animosity toward the church could have encountered it. Why it wouldn't have deterred him? Stanford's actions: ramming his truck into the building, opening fire on worshipers during services, and setting the chapel ablaze with gasoline. And they didn't have a policy, Grok. They didn't have a policy against setting the chapel on fire.
Yeah.
Right?
There's this extra policy they could have
That's
put in.
why. If he didn't know. What are you burning?
Oh, hold on.
He didn't change his thing. I guess I'll finish. Stem from the profound personal hatred for the LDS Church and its members, not from any tactical consideration of armed resistance. Key details on his mindset include deep-rooted grudge. Acquaintances describe Sanford developing intense anti-Mormon views after a painful breakup years earlier with an LDS woman he dated while living in Utah. This experience fueled a broader resentment toward the faith, which he expressed in inflammatory terms. Recent anti-LDS rants. Just days before the attack, Sanford went on a tirade to a local political canvasser, calling Mormons the Antichrist and grilling him on the LDS beliefs, the Book of Mormon, Joseph Smith, and church history. These echoed common online conspiracy theories about the faith, suggesting his obsession with... This is unrelated. I'm done. Would you like to know... Do you want me to... Would you like to ask me questions about other faiths' policies on concealed carry?
When he talks about broad resentment, I've resented a few broads.
Grok, do base Mormons
a few broads
not bring their concealed weapons to church? Oops. The term base Mormons is a formally defined group. The LDS Church has a clear, long-standing... I stand corrected.
There's no definitive data to survey specifically if pro-gun LDS members, based Mormons, carry concealed. Just type in hazard a guess.
Hazard a guess, retard.
I'd say most base Mormons, those
Probably don't carry concealed weapons to church.
Are you retarded? Man, AI is not going to take us over. Never mind. We're safe.
You don't know nothing. Ha ouch. Ouch. In Texas, even if the church has a policy against carrying guns at church, it's not legally binding unless they have a specific sign at the door. Plenty of people carry here. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, but again, no one's going to pat you down. That's the people that conceal carry. Like, how often does a dude conceal carry? And, well, okay, it's just the dumbest question ever. Because if a dude that concealed carries in church is going to do an attack, like in the middle, he just pulls out his handgun and starts blasting. Like, the policy wasn't going to stop him. I don't know how many times you can say that. Gun-free zone. That doesn't help anyone. It makes the problem worse.
Well, it's just like all this. I mean, since the 90s, we laughed about the schools have a sign that says, "This is a drug-free zone." Oh, you say drug-free zone, is it?
Oh man, I can't bring my pot.
Oh, yeah, that's like, I'm gonna bring drugs, but it says that I can't.
There's Christopher's meme that I didn't pull up earlier. Anyway, so what do you think? I guess there's nothing to even learn from that. Are they going to bring it up in general conference? And Troy says it's Cheater's birthday. Did you guys remember your puppets?
I wished him a happy birthday. It told me to wish him a happy birthday, and I clicked on the thing, and I said, "In Soviet Russia, birthday is you." And then it just messaged him directly, and so it wasn't on his actual page.
Anyway, moving on. I've been reading this book called Days of Rage. I named this podcast New Age of Rage. This book, see, I'm 4 chapters into it. That's like an hour each of just incident after incident after incident after incident of bombs of the New Left from the 60s. The whole book is just, and one of the things that it points out is that almost nobody ever even really documented it. And back then, it became so commonplace that it would be like a couple paragraphs, 6 pages in to the New York Times on a Sunday or something like that. Like, the New Left bombed again. They bombed another place again. Like, there was so many bombings that it's just unreal. And that's going back to like all the, Stokely Carmichael and
Okay, but have we talked about Timothy McVeigh yet?
We have not. Anyway, of course, all that stuff's like just completely forgotten about in our era of discussing right-wing versus left-wing political violence, which a bunch of stuff we talked about already a little bit about how they game those numbers. But this stupid little meme that I made here, that is going off of that new movie. They have a poster that kind of looks just like that. That's my face in Dixie. I had a picture at Dixie College that I went to Dixie College, and they took a picture and I stuck it on there. But the actual thing is the One Battle After Another new movie that came out by Paul Thomas Anderson, which I love. Paul Thomas Anderson. He's got a few of my favorite movies of all time, including There Will Be Blood, and One Battle After Another. Anyway, have you guys heard about this movie here?
No.
I've seen talk of it.
Is that the Antifa inspired one?
Yeah, well, it's inspired off of the people. It's inspired off of those people from that book, and the stories. It's actually based off of a true story from a real book in the 90s called One Battle After Another or whatever.
And
but if you get that book and read about it, it is kind of Weather Underground. There's so many different groups. There's as many groups as like we talk about NGOs nowadays. There's like 150 different bombing groups, and this is just one of them.
Those bombing groups were not groups; they were ideas.
Yeah, they were just ideas. So this one is all about.
They were actually perfectly analogous to regular army soldiers in World War II.
So coming out at this time right now, it's talking about ghosts or something like that. It literally is about them bombing ICE type facilities to save migrants. The whole movie's premises. But there's sex pest side stories. That's always there. Oh, and guess what's in that book, Days of Rage? If you listen to all the Days of Rage and stuff, it's filled with all of their sex pest side stories. It just seems to go hand in hand. I don't know why. All sorts of back and forth sex stuff and weird things about wanting to get it on with the daughter of the girlfriend and all that sorts of deal. Yeah, that's all. Like, I listened to like a whole review of it. I haven't seen it yet, and I love Paul Thomas Anderson, and it's got good actors in it. But hearing that the whole thing is just basically coming out right now, glorifying attacking ICE type facilities, in a Paul Thomas Anderson style, well filmed movie.
Speaking of the sex pest thing, there's something. There's a very troubling trend that I've been seeing, and I feel like it makes sense with the direction we're going with our sexual liberation. Do you ever watch much Chris Hansen To Catch a Predator stuff?
I did back in the day. Yeah.
So he's had 3 separate shows, right? To Catch a Predator was the most popular. Then, like, I don't know, 8 years ago or so, he did what was it called? It was something Chris Hansen.
Predator Investigations, something like that.
It was Hansen versus Predator.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
Right now, he's actually got one going, and it seems to be pretty successful. It's called Takedown with Chris Hansen, and he's still doing the same thing that he always was. It's the tactics have changed a little bit, and the people they've captured have changed a little bit too. Because in the first one, it was just normal chat groups you'd go to, and they'd pose as a young person, blah blah blah. The second one was pretty much the same, and now this one, Takedown with Chris Hansen. One of the running themes in it is to lure these people in. They'll post on these sites that have that are basically prostitute sites, right? They're technically legal. I can't remember. Skip the Games. That's the one that they cite the most, and in order to post on that, you have to be at least 18 years old. So they'll have 19 in the profile. And then as soon as the guy messages them, they'll kind of reveal, no, I'm actually 15 or 14 or whatever. But one of the trends that they're using that I never saw them use in the old ones, and I've seen a lot of them, is that frequently they will say, I'm a mother to this girl, and you can be with me or you can be with her. And I'm like, that's such a creepy fucking trend. Like this sucks in so many people when a mother is trying to whore out her underage daughter, and it's fucking. You got me on a sex pest tangent.
The police just caught a mental health nurse practitioner in Utah County on that very thing just in this week.
Yeah, it's fucking creepy listening to it because obviously as soon as the guy gets there and he gets busted, he's like, well, I wanted the mom. Well, you were talking to the 15-year-old daughter more than the mom. And you said one of the other weird things is they keep catching illegal immigrants. I guess
weird?
It's not weird. I shouldn't say it's weird. One of the other illuminating but not very shocking things is they keep catching illegal immigrants. Like there's people that just straight up can't speak English or pretend to not be able to speak English.
There was a thing not just in the last few weeks that was in the local paper where it was like a Venezuelan or Colombian immigrant guy, and like in the paper they quoted him as telling the police, like, in my country it's normal to fuck 13-year-olds. What's the big deal? Like they just straight up said it.
Well, go back, I guess.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, all right then. Yeah. Well, here it ain't.
Do you see that poster there? A super pregnant black woman with a machine gun.
Oh, jeez.
Very, very, very sexy. Very, very sexy time. And I guess it jumps to the future, and then there's weird sex pest with the kid stuff. Maybe the movie, which I have not seen yet. You know how people go and rewrite stuff into Barbie or something like that. But something that becomes obvious and true in this book, Days of Rage, and I'm only 4 chapters into it, but 4 chapters into it, it's gone through the cycle of several. It's kind of these people did this, and then these people. So it goes through the cycle of each of their things. And there's something where it goes away from their idealistic cause to they just really enjoy doing bombs and having the sex. And maybe the show gets into that a bit. Maybe I don't know how it all plays out. But is there any sort of concept in it that they stop and think about what they did with their dumb lives or not, or if they actually helped anybody or maybe killed and hurt a lot of people? Like those bombs in the 60s a lot of them were just blow up bombs, and people talk about January 6th and all that stuff. Like the Weather Underground people and stuff like that, people like this, Asada Shakur, they literally blew up different buildings all over Washington, D.C. And people just like shrugged it off. Oh, it's the Weather Underground, blah. This is Tupac Shakur's mom. She just died this week. And they were celebrating it in the New York Times. She murdered a New Jersey state trooper and was convicted of first-degree murder, armed robbery, and aggravated assault in 1979. Armed allies stormed a prison, freed her, and smuggled her to Cuba.
Yup.
Angela
Davis was like in a shootout with cops.
Yeah, that actually got the cop killed. And they were searching her for stuff and all that time because she supposedly provided guns to the shooters. And there was a whole long thing of that going back and forth. All of them were involved in all sorts of terroristic bombing attacks. And then they just got annexed into becoming smart professors and who knows what. Bill Ayers, people say he was one of Obama's mentors, was one of the Weather Underground type people running around doing that crap. And there's so many different stories and it gets vanished. It gets disappeared. And one of the things that, because we talked about this forever ago when I was trying to tell people that you got to rethink Ezra Taft Benson, just like Jared was saying. But in the time frame, all of this stuff was going around right around Martin Luther King. And most of these different labeled movements, the FALQ, the SPLC, well, there's a different thing going on right now with that. But they all had different names, like the student unions and all these sorts of things. Most of these groups were violent groups, decidedly and announcingly communistic and violent. And all that Ezra Taft Benson ever did was, just like we are doing now, was notice. And in the mix of all that, there was Martin Luther King, who talked about peacefully, but if you read all the stuff too, there was little bits in there that you kind of go, I don't know what this guy's on about. And if it was in the middle of all this other mess, you might have been forgiven a little bit of going like, I don't know about any of these people.
When I was in elementary school, I was under the impression that the Black Panthers were just a civil rights group, like Martin Luther King. Like they never
advocated in their movie.
Oh, by the way, they were
in their
violent
Marxists. Babies. They advocated in their meetings. Like, look it up on Grok right now. Did they advocate in their meetings killing white babies? And it just says, yeah.
Here's the funny part. When I learned about the civil rights movement, I learned a ton about MLK, and I learned about Malcolm X. But like, I learned that he existed, and they were like, yeah, he's pretty much just MLK. And that was the extent of my education. So, guys, 1619 project here. Let's teach real history. We're trying to avoid it. Let's teach real history.
Yeah, but there's just like the amazing thing that people just like come around and say, you know, anybody from that time frame who had any sorts of doubts of this stuff, like, how dare you question anything that was going around the civil rights movement? It was loaded up with Stokely Carmichaels and people that they call the new left. You know,
we got RFM hanging out in the chat.
What's going on, RFM? All this chaos wasn't happening when Biden was president. We weren't shooting people when we were getting our way.
Have you seen Destiny try to do that? Destiny I've heard him spew this shit out several times now that like Trump presided over, I don't know, like 4 of the 5 worst riots in the last 50 years. And you're like, well, okay, who was doing the riots? You stupid dickwad.
Oh.
I know you're not dumb enough to not know exactly what you're doing.
Was it this week that the news finally came out that there was 270 feds at January 6th?
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, yet another far-right conspiracy theory comes out to be true.
Yeah.
Oh, RFM says Eldridge Cleaver is a famous Black Panther who joined the church.
Nuh-uh.
That's wild.
Did he repent?
I mean, he's got all these... He also got to, like... Did
he join in, like, 1977? Was he that hardcore?
Man, he looks like the dude who went on Joe Rogan who said he invented the new math.
Oh, Terrence Howard.
It looks like Terrence Howard. Yeah. No way he joined. That's awesome. But I thought maybe he didn't murder anybody in any of his bombs.
Well, it's also there's a lot of Black Panther doctrine you would have to ignore to jump into the Mormon church.
I brought it up before. I'll just bring it up again. If anybody just wants like a short, quick rundown of all these different groups that I'm talking about, if you go to Ryan Chapman's channel the new left. Very fair take on all too. This guy right here, Ryan Chapman, will talk about all the different groups and all the different things from that time frame that were overtly communist. But careful of McCarthyism. What's that?
I think that was your video.
Oh no, I thought Flip. Oh, that was this.
What's up?
Oh, I thought it was
So
Flip's
this won't
voice.
describe all of you, but
No.
if you're anything like me, you've had a thought process going on in your head for a while now.
Not
And
me.
what it looks like is basically asking various forms of the question, what's going on with the left?
How many Tanners
And you're
do you
asking
think he
that
could
question
take?
because recent events have been
Not in the ass, but like how many could he just like fight?
3 Tanners.
Yeah, I could see that. He could take 3 Tanners. Sorry, go on.
I don't go that long with it, but
making you reevaluate things. And they've been making you feel like you've been missing something. But you also intuit that what you've been seeing isn't necessarily anything new. And looking back in the past could possibly shed some light on it. But when you go back to look in the past, you have a timeline in your head that looks something like this. You might know that back here, it was mostly economics and working class stuff. But mostly it was so long ago that you don't really care about it. Then there's a gap here where you feel like not much happened. And then here you've got the Civil Rights Movement, the Vietnam War, Malcolm X, and a lot of other stuff. Then there's another gap, apartheid here, some political correctness, Rodney King riots. And there's another gap, and then you're in the present. But you really feel like you're missing something important back here. And the details of it seem like they might be affecting what's going on today. Well, anyway, not too long ago, those are my thoughts. And it led me down a path of research where I ended up focusing on not all of 60s activists, but on a specific subset of 60s radicals called the New Left. And after spending a few
that was this particular group too. There was all sorts of other groups that joined in on those bombies. If you read the book Days of Rage,
months
I'm
with the
sure
New
this
Left,
guy's very
I think
smart.
I'll be able to.
He's doing a good job with his video. It's just very distracting that he moves like an anime 7-year-old girl. Wait,
yeah.
Anyway,
I won't
I'm
keep
sure
watching
he's
it. Anyway,
great.
Ryan Chapman, if you want like a quick rundown and not have to go read this whole book that I'm talking about here. But
Sorry,
I think
ruined
it's
your
just
video.
funny because there's so much stuff about like people, especially like ex-Mormons, who's just like almost like you don't have to put any more words in it. Like Ezra Taft Benson, ew, he was political. I know he maybe got more political and all that sorts of stuff, but some of his calling out of what was going on with these groups is what you would expect maybe should be coming out of prophets, and it's the stuff you're not going to be hearing from them on this Sunday.
He's a
You know what I
political. I mean, he was a cabinet member, so yeah, he was political.
Yeah. We call ourselves the anti-bad guy squad, and we label our opponents the bad guys. How can people not understand this? We can never be terrorists because we're fighting the bad guys. It's so simple to understand. Everything we do is justified because of our name. The ADL, a lot of stuff has been coming out about the ADL and the SPLC, which they've already been doing. But turns out the ADL and the Federal Bureau of Investigation were completely tied, and things have been coming out about who they label willy-nilly white supremacists and all that.
I know, dude.
Turning Point USA was one of the groups that they were calling that. And
Dude, when I read that, I was like, look, I try really hard to avoid internet porn, but here I am staring at my screen with a boner.
yeah. Did you guys hear any of the story about how the ADL started?
No?
Oh,
They started in defense of a pedophile.
oh, that makes sense.
Oh, I don't want to go far right. Don't make me do the early life thing. But in their defense, they also defended a Nazi march, which is, man, that would be so badass to see that principle of a stance. Like your Jews saying, they can do this. They're allowed to do this. They're allowed to be bigoted pieces of shit. Like, what a badass you had to have been. Like, what happened? They started defending a pedophile, and then a few years later, they became principled, and then now they're just fucking Rabbi Shmuley.
I like how this is one of the things that's come out. So Elon Musk just come out saying that the SPLC has blood on his hand for Charlie Kirk, partially because they left in there that he was supposedly part of a white supremacist group, the Turning Point USA, and all these different people just would willy-nilly throw that stuff out. And then on top of that, people went and looked at like how they labeled Antifa, and it's like Antifa is just an idea. Like, just all that same stuff. But all these NGOs that just get pumped out that obviously have like a political bent and have been twisting things to their side forever. If you go and listen to Mike Benz was talking a lot this week. He was on with Winston, the Mumford and Sons guy, talking about the way that the U.S. government will fund some of these NGOs across nations. And then in other nations, like in the EU and in Brazil, they'll pass laws getting funded from our NGOs in our places, and then say that we have to follow those other nations' laws so that we can have to have this censorship on our sorts of Twitter thing. It's like this great big circular Death Star of bullshit that they've been doing for years. But what was I trying to? I was going to pull up the story of how it started in defense of a pedophile, but yeah, so they're coming out and saying like, hey, we're getting sick and tired of this obviously politically biased NGO that gets involved and mixed in our politics and launders in stories. You know, as soon as the ADL announces something like Jack Posobiec's a white supremacist, which he isn't, but then they can use that reference anytime that they make a story in the New York Times. They say Jack Posobiec, known white supremacist. You know, and we're referencing the ADL type stuff. It's been such a racket. We've been living in a racket, and largely because a lot of this is some of those people who came out of that very same new left radical activists did the Salt Lake City punk, the thing at the Salt Lake City punk. Oh, I guess all our bombs aren't working. We'll go wreck the institutions from the inside. I mean, it literally was just that. But one of the things that comes up is they also dominate search algorithms, and Google puts them up, and Elon Musk was calling them out for that today. I just barely look now, like Google, the ADL started with a case defending a pedophile, and it will just, the first 15 things were ADL's website itself. Like I couldn't like find some that, and they have Google on their side for crap like that. It's so ridiculous. Like it's just so unbelievably biased, like one direction. And these are the types of places running those same sorts of things, like let's study how much like right wing versus left wing violence is. Oh, we'll declare all of the BLM riots right wing because that was against the government. We'll just skip this one because we don't want that. There's the guy who said, hey, we got a Trump guy and they shot a dude in Portland. We'll just skip that one. Crowder's been bringing that one up a whole lot.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen him talk about that. The fucking stats they have, they didn't include anything that happened in the Summer of Love in their stats.
If a supposedly known white supremacist kills his aunt, we're going to add that into political violence. But if some known leftist kills whoever in their family, that won't get added in anywhere. It's been such an unbelievable racket, like the whole entire time. We've been living in a world of p-hacked bullshit political lies.
I like this was earlier this summer, I guess, but like inside of 1 week, like NPR had a story where it's, you know, it's some Trump guy, some low-level Trump admin guy, and they're like, we have found close links between Trump admin guy and white supremacy. And so I'm like, all right, I look at it, and what are the links? It's like he was at a rally where Nick Fuentes spoke, which was like an outdoor thing, where it's like he was literally just there. And then something else where like he was like, it was a Twitter thing, you know, and like just completely like things that could just be, you know, you might be at a rally as like a journalist or just to listen and not even, you know, agree with them, right?
Yeah,
obviously, you know. And then like the Twitter thing was literally like, oh really, like Twitter? I can't remember. It was just like completely like, it was absolutely circumstantial. That's not even the right word, but they call it close links. And then 3 days later, they had a story about, you know, Trump is trying to throw this green card holding, not green card, the student. They're trying to throw this student out of the country for supporting terrorism, and like, and doesn't mention anything about why they might do that. So I Google his name, and he's the son-in-law of a senior Hamas leader, right? And it's like, so like for NPR, that's not a close link to terrorism. being the son-in-law of a Hamas leader doesn't count as a anti-Semite. That's right. It was like specifically anti-Semite. Like that doesn't count as a close link to anti-Semites. But appearing at an outdoor rally where Nick Fuentes spoke makes you close link to anti-Semitism. It's like, but that's NPR. That's where we're at with them.
Yeah, they didn't even try. I can't believe the government's pulling funding from us. Shut up, jackass.
I know. Also, the other thing about that is like it's just one of those classic kettle logic things of the left is that for years, whenever I'd be like, when anytime would come up, it'd be like, NPR should not be getting public funding because they're not working in the public interest.
Yeah, there was like it's only like 1% of our funding.
Why do you even care? Like less than 1% of half of a fraction comes from the government money, and now it's like, how will we live without the federal funding?
How dare you? You're silencing us.
So this says that the anti-Semitism was based in the concept that he was innocent, but I've seen some other stuff claim that they do not believe that he was at all. And well, no, this was just an anti-Semitic claim, but that'd be interesting to look in to see what the actual facts of that case were. But I'm not going to read all that right now.
I got to bail again because I'm a tired boy.
No,
somebody's got beeps.
Yeah, it's my neighbors. I've got the door open because my thing beeped. That's been going on for like a year, man.
Like, I'm Flip, and I gotta work hard so I can go see my son and be a good father.
Yeah, basically, I want to not put any of this trip on credit.
You gotta choose now. It's either your kid or us.
I've been averaging 55 hours a week for like 6 weeks.
Jesus, did you ever watch The Office?
Yeah.
There's this great part.
The American one I watched like the first 4 or 5 seasons before it just ran its course, and I was not interested in it anymore.
It got season 7 is where it got bad, really. But in one of the later seasons, Daryl, who's Craig Robinson, is dating Mindy Kaling's character, and she's just a terrible bitch. And he's
the actress, or
yep, both. He doesn't really want to be dating her that much, and he's talking to her. She's like, "Can we hang out tonight?" He's like, "Well, I got this thing with my daughter," and she goes, "You got to choose right now, me or your daughter." And he just cuts her off. My daughter. He just like walks off, and like, yeah, that's a dad.
Sounds good. Okay. Oh, wait, I had a booze corner.
Ooh.
Because you asked.
Let me get that. I'm gonna go get the.
Because in private, in the chat group, Jared asked if that is a real color of wine, like a really pale red. And like, yes, wine can come in all manners of pale.
It's like a Kool-Aid red.
Yeah, well, because I mean, so first off, because like when you say red wine, that usually just means black grape varieties where you leave the skins on for the entire period of maceration and fermentation, or not fermentation, but maceration. And so that's where they get their color. And a rosé is a red wine that just has a limited amount of skin contact, but it can be minutes, it can be a day, it can be a week. It just, as long as at some point they take the skins out. And so depending on how long you do that. And then also there are just some, like, sometimes Pinot Noirs, even if they're macerated with the skins for the entire period, they're just paler. So like there's literally like there's a perfect spectrum of wine color for red wines. And then you get the thing where, especially lately because of the hippy dippy types, there's the new thing of orange wines or amber wines, which is an orange wine is when you leave the skin. It's a white grape variety, but you leave the skins on for the entire time. Because usually with white wines, they're made with white varieties, but you squeeze them out and discard the skins right away. But if you leave the skins on like it's a red, you make what is called an orange wine or an amber wine. And this is one of those nomenclature things where, like, because the Republic of Georgia is where this type of winemaking goes back like 7,000 years or something. And they kind of claim to be the originators of it. and they're all touchy about it. It's like, it's not orange wine, because people think you like wine
You
made from
use it
orange
from
juice.
orange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that has nothing to do with it. And then the last little thing to say about this is with rosés, it's kind of funny because there's exceptions to everything, and you can always cheat. And one of the classic ways of cheating to make rosé is like, you make a white wine and it's kind of crappy, so you just put a little bit of red wine in it to fatten it up and kind of cover the flaws. But under French law, you're not allowed to do that. Under French law, you have to set out to make a rosé wine from the beginning, and you're not
Jeez.
allowed to change it later. You have to from the very beginning. This is the plan. This is what we're doing, and whatever you end up with is what you end up with. But in
Winos
America,
are really serious about their shit.
yeah, and a lot of that's, it's, can't think of the word right now, because that thing is like, when I was selling wine a lot, people like take this stuff really seriously, and I'm like, look, a lot of this is pomp and ceremony. Like, it's kind of the nerd element of it, because the reality is like, because first off, there's a lot of wine fraud out there. Like, even in France, like, wine frauds happen all the time, where, like, for example, I think it was, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, there was like a huge scandal where one of the major winemakers was blending different vintages, and you're not allowed to do that. But it's not like they're watching all the time, and so like there's all kinds of shenanigans that go on. Like, ultimately, if you like your wine, that's what matters. But some people really get into the dorkiness of, oh, it has to be this variety and it has to follow these rules and all this crap. Like, like vintage, for example. A guy, one of the wine brokers, I was telling some story about a guy who was like digging through for a particular vintage of California Cabernet, and he just kind of scoffed and went, "Weather is why you have a winemaker. Like, the whole point of the winemaker is that they make good wine with whatever they have,
Mhm.
And so, like, a lot of people take vintage way too seriously. Although this same guy, like 6 weeks later, he's like, the 2021s coming out of Burgundy are really good. It's like, okay, so you're playing both sides of that too. But anyway, that was the quick wine talk. Wine can come in any shade of any depth of color.
Yeah, well, we were just watching a dumbass Hallmark movie because we haven't done that in a while. And they pulled it out, and I was like, that's like fire engine red. It just looks like water with red food coloring in it. Is that real? And Morgan was like, ask Flip.
I'm guessing that, even like assuming it was actually wine and not just water with food coloring in it, a lot of the box reds are kind of like that. Because, one thing is, the deeper colored wines tend to have a lot of tannins in them. And like, your kind of mom drinkers, your kind of Kamala Harris wine drunk types don't like that. They like juicy, sweet, not tannic wines. And so they tend to be kind of paler. But yeah, that is all that is to that. All righty.
Nice.
You guys have fun.
Sweet.
Have
That's a
fun
good
working to see your kid. Gay.
Yeah, that's totally gay.
Imagine giving a shit about your children.
Yeah, so I was reading more on like that case. I'm gonna go out and say I didn't know enough about the case. It looks like he was declared guilty. They say he should have been innocent. And there's all sorts of stuff. So maybe it was a reason to start something like the ADL for protecting the guy against, if that was anti-Semitism. But anyway, off of that, they've turned into a shit rag nowadays. Like,
Jesus
the
Christ,
stuff they
yeah.
do is ridiculous. Anyway.
Sorry, I'll be right back. There's another tantrum I have to quell real quick.
No. It's science, right? Wish my oldest boy mother chose her son over her 300-pound partner. Wish my oldest boy's mother chose her son over 3. Wow. Groyper, abortionists can, if that can. Murderers join the church. Abortionists can, if that counts. Riso, when we were on the mission, we were supposed to ask if we were going to baptize people, we were supposed to ask if people participated in incest, murder, or homosexuality. And if they had been, we had to kick it up to a higher power than us. We couldn't decide to baptize them at that point. But I think in those cases they would go case by case on the person and talk to them individually to see if they felt enough repentance had been done or something like that. But us missionaries weren't allowed to make the decision on those people if they had done that or not, if they can. Anyway, all the way, I've lost my place on all my stuff. What was Quartering saying earlier? Very strange. This is just me stuck without Jared and not able to get back to my original screen. J.K. Rowling. It's time to talk about J.K. Rowling and her fallout with the kids. Did anybody watch J.K. Rowling and Emma Watson's beef this week? I was just looking. Somebody mentioned Asmongold at the very beginning of this. It's too long of a video to watch it, although you can break it down a lot faster. I've got some footage of it somewhere, but I can't find my screen. Here we go. Abortion was also a baptism interview question. Oh, I don't recall that one, but maybe it was. I mean, I don't remember so much of it back at that time. But I know incest was one of them.
What the fuck? I put on my headphones. Incest.
Yeah, we were talking about top 5 things ex-Mormons get into after they. No, I'm just kidding. It's hey,
that was quick.
We were talking about things that you had to kick up to a higher power if you came across it on your mission if you were baptizing somebody, and murder is one of them because Reese asked if murderers could get in there. Star Wars Club said I give a lot of interviews. I give some too, but I never came across a murder. But I remember I was just reading down the list of the ones on my first one, and I asked a kid if he'd ever murdered anybody, and I was like, I come out afterwards like, you don't gotta ask him that question. I'm like, I just read down the list, man. I didn't know what it was my first one.
No, but I did one interview, and the lady said that when she was pregnant, she took a medication trying for an abortion, but the medication didn't work. So I had to kick that up to my president, and the president talked to her, and he's like, "Yeah, she could be baptized." So it was nothing, but yeah, you got to kick some things up.
So I was just getting to J.K. Rowling. Oops, I have the wrong thing. His wife is the wrong. That doesn't go with conspiracy.
Starbase Call-Up said, had a guy tell me his girlfriend had an abortion without him knowing. I approved his baptism, which is wild to think about being 20 years old. Yeah, I mean, I would have told him that too. I was like, well, you didn't know. That's fucking tragic. You're telling me, that's like telling me your wife killed your kid. Like, you didn't do it. So.
I had come across somebody who had supposedly like killed or thought he'd killed in war, and we had to kick it up just because he thought of that. But many years, he was old, so it was many years earlier when he was young. Anyway, J.K. Rowling stuff. J.K. Rowling spanks and paddles Emma Watson.
You want me to read this thing or what?
Yeah, if you want to.
All right, so J.K. Rowling has reacted to Emma Watson's recent interview with Jay Shetty, in which the Harry Potter alum said she still treasures her relationship, her past experiences with Rowling, despite the author's anti-trans views. Emma Watson and her co-stars have every... Oh, this is what J.K. Rowling says. Emma Watson and her co-stars have every right to embrace gender identity ideology, Rowling pointed out in her lengthy expose. Such beliefs are legally protected, and I wouldn't want to see any of them threatened with loss of work or violence or death because of them. However, Emma and Dan in particular have both made it clear over the last few years that they think our former professional association gives them a particular right, nay obligation, to critique me and my views in public, Rowling continued. Toward the end of her post, Rowling added, I wasn't a multimillionaire at 14. I lived in poverty while writing the book that made Emma famous. I therefore understand from my own life experience what the trashing of women's rights, in which Emma has so enthusiastically participated, means to women and girls without her privileges. That's funny to me because it's the funniest part is I was explaining to somebody your concept of the gaslight or the gaslight off ramp, and I fucking hate it so much because it's one of those things like the rat utopia that I think about like once a week, probably at least.
Yeah.
Because you see things like this is I understand J.K. Rowling lashing out like this because she goes on to talk about how when she's at the height of the hatred toward her, which is still pretty much going on, she's receiving death threats all the time. People are saying, just discuss, like, self-avowed feminists are telling her, I hope you are, like, raped and bred and just used for your uterus, you stupid, like, disgusting shit that I wouldn't say to somebody that I hate. And she, like, Emma never, like, reached out and said anything to her, and she, like, once gave her a note saying, I'm so sorry what you're going through. She's like, you had my number, bitch. You know, so I get it. I understand. I have a hard time taking giving people the gaslight off ramp when it's like Anna Kasparian, who's a dumbass for decades on stupid shit like crime, and then finally it happens to her, and she's like, "Oh, maybe this crime thing is something we should look at." You think? You think? Like, I have a hard time with that. I can't imagine how hard of a time I would have as J.K. Rowling being like, you dumb bitch, I made you a multimillionaire. And now that shit's turning the other way, now that it's safe, you're willing to be like, you know, maybe that's a little bit nuts. Maybe we went a little bit overboard. Maybe.
Yeah. Corolla was just ranting on it just this week that, you know, for all of history, you know, we know what the sexes are. And then for the past 10 years, they were forced to do the hardest sell in the world, which is tell the whole world that boys can become girls and girls become boys, which in itself is a hard sell. But not only that, you had to scream down and cancel and kick off of anybody who had any sort of doubt about it. You know, you had to make sure that they couldn't talk. Like, it was one of the most wild experiments in history. And just like we were talking about earlier, like Rebecca Biblioteca assumes stuff's going one certain direction, maybe with just the gay marriage. But as far as this stuff goes, just like J.K. Rowling is noting right here, like the worm is turning on this stuff. And like I was saying, this whole podcast right here with Graham Lyman, who got completely canceled and was just arrested last month for tweets in England about this stuff, goes over this detail of this is called Barbie Kardashian, this inmate woman who was put into prison with the women over there and started threatening sexual assaults and assaulting the other women, and not just other prisoners, because some of the things people would say to him is like, who cares about other women prisoners? But also assaulting like the women prison guards. Quartering actually covered this one too.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Our sponsor.
This is the person right here. This person was in prison. And anyway, when was released yesterday, talking to this reporter right here, said he asked him, I'm trying to find the exact spot in there with the thing. And I can't even believe the thing can understand him because he's so Irish. Like I can barely understand him. But
oh my God, yeah. One
of the things that he's talking about is that person said, yes, I'm going to, now that they let me out, I got away with this one. And I'll see if I can do it. And I'm going to carry out those things that I said I was going to do, you know, just saying it right to reporter on the outside. How come that doesn't have any volume?
We're not.
Yeah, but it's.
Oh, there it is.
Anyway, I got the train back to Dublin that Friday afternoon, and I got a text a few hours later, just coming into Dublin City, and my wife texted me and she says, Kardashian's been found not guilty. Well, I couldn't believe it. That's what the jury did, you know? And today he said to me, I got away with that. You know, I don't understand. The only possible thing I can think of is the jury possibly said, oh, it wasn't plausible to the victims, which is what
one of the things they talk about in this is one of the reasons that they say that they're that as well is because women get lighter sentences too. So that's another one of the reasons why they say it there, because then they give them the lighter sentences for being
the law is. In law, the judge explained, to say I didn't mean it isn't a defense, but to say there's no way they would have believed that is a defense. Whatever it was, he was acquitted on all charges. And as he said to me today, lucky, otherwise he wouldn't have got out today.
That's
So
very
now
interesting,
he's
isn't it?
out. And he's in all his regalia. He's got his makeup on. He's painted on his eyes, you know, or his eyebrows. And this idiotic, I'm sorry, Barbie, idiotic breasts and so on. And a while later, then another journalist, David Raleigh, he's a Limerick-based journalist, turned up. So Barbie was there for me and David and Brendan, the photographer, and he started talking about his porn shoots that he wants to do. And I noticed it with another one of those trans-identified men that I met. The guy actually is gay, because David asked him even, he said, who do you, not all trans-identified men are. I think probably most of them aren't. But David Raleigh said to him, are you attracted to men or women? He says, oh, I'm attracted to men. But now men are going to be attracted to me when I get my transition, you know? And I had that from a guy before. He says, I think it's an internal.
Here's the thing.
I feel like maybe I don't need to point out the irony of him talking about this to a dude who was who was convicted of saying shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he gave, I'll put it up, as I say, I was with him for about an hour. I've been editing the stuff. Now, you can't use all of it because he makes very specific allegations against specific people that I'm not going to carry, you know? I'm not gonna, and he makes threats, which I'm still going through my head, against specific people who he wants to kill. And I don't know if I should put that out there. But I said to David Raleigh, we need to get that out there. He said, I already have. He said to me, and I see in David's report, the guards, that's the police for people who don't know in Ireland, are saying, yes, they're examining the fact that this guy comes out and starts making death threats against people. You know, is that a breach of his early release?
The people that he threatened to rape in the prison, and had further charges for it, and then was released out innocent, all sorts of stuff, and said, I got away with that, and I'm still going to rape and kill them. And this is talking to Graham Lyman, I don't know, Linehan, who was, you know, the writer of Father Brown in the IT crowd, who got completely canceled out of all of England and arrested for tweets there. And they're reporting on this person who's going into female prisons. And so you go back to this, or you say, like, is that direction of progress for sure going that direction, up and up and up, that all this is just going to be finally accepted correctly? Or is it maybe flipping around a little bit, just like J.K. Rowling said here? It seems like stuff's starting to turn, that it's maybe even a canary in the coal mine that Emma Watson dares to start saying, well, gee, maybe I would like to have a relationship with J.K. again. Not just to mention that, like, after the Charlie Kirk murders, on Blue Sky, all over Blue Sky, one of the main persons they said, kill next, kill next, kill next, was J.K. Rowling.
Yep.
And the only reason for that is she agrees with them on every policy in the world.
You know, that's the funniest shit. That data point, or that study that, like, we already knew the answer to, but it was funny to see it actually put down. What was it? It shows the spread of lefties versus the spread of conservatives, like what they're willing to accept. And the lefties is like almost a straight line, and the conservatives is like, you know, it bubbles out. Because now like conservatives are like, yeah, J.K. Rowling's cool. And they know that she disagrees with them on 99% of shit. The lefties also know she agrees with them on 99% of shit. It's just this thing, this one fucking sticking point. They can't just be like, you know what, she's pretty, and she would have shut up.
Thing that women should have, females should have female spaces. That's her only claim. I think hers was also leave kids alone.
Well, yeah, you've got like, it's funny. Anytime I see, there's so many times I argue about trans shit, I'm accused of being a TERF. I'll always say, please don't use that term. It's offensive to me. Just drop the F and it's fine. And they'll be like, wait, you know, like they get even more mad. But for some reason, they're even more hateful towards the TERFs than they are to me. It's crazy because, like, if they just shut the fuck up and didn't didn't like, I don't know, threaten to rape and murder her, this would not be her cause. She might tweet about it here and there and be like, hey, we should do this or whatever. And they'd be like, well, look, we disagree on this, but we're glad you agree with us on literally everything else.
Yeah.
And then she would pretty much shut the fuck up about the trans issue. But you guys threatened to put her in a rape camp.
They said that, didn't they? Rape
Oh, yeah,
camp?
they did. Seriously, like, I've seen several tweets where it was like, and this was pre-Elon Musk Twitter. This is the kind of speech that was allowed. Was like, I hope you're put into a camp where you're just raped for your uterus, and when you have a baby, they rape you again, and they just make you so you know what it's like to be me. And like, how does that compute? But also, you're evil for wishing that on someone. I'm trying to think of the person I hate the most, like most annoying person in Hollywood, Rachel Zegler. I wouldn't even consider wishing that on her. She's a dumb bitch. She's annoying. She's pompous. She's an asshole. She's belittling to fans of a movie that she's belittling of as well, that she's starring in and making a shitload of cash on. She's a dumb piece of shit. I wouldn't even come close to that. The worst thing I would wish on her is like, I hope they don't hire you for more movies because you're an asshole.
So the latter gay stories guys put this thing out, freaking out that the Mormon Church put out an amicus brief that I don't know if this is their wording or the church's trans rights make religion less free. The Mormon Church urges the Supreme Court to reject transgender status as a protected class, arguing it would limit their religious freedom to discriminate. That's their wording.
Well, I've heard Bill Reel talk about this before, about how anytime the Mormon Church talks about gay stuff, it's just them trying to, like, oh yeah, they always have to shoehorn in the thing where they're like, oh, if we come after these rights, then they'll come after our right to discriminate. And I'm like, Bill, yes, they have a right to discriminate. They absolutely do.
Yeah, that word has just like such baggage with it from our civil rights generation. But
yeah,
there's
here's the thing.
discrimination happening all the time in all things. Like,
So like In-N-Out, for example, is a family-owned business, or so they claim, you know. And so they will only do franchises that are like either within their family or people who have received a family reference. That's discrimination. I couldn't buy an In-N-Out franchise because I have no connections to their family, and so they are discriminating against me. And do I want to make it illegal for them to do that? No, that's their thing. This is their club. They can discriminate. The Mormons discriminate against people like me. Like, if I weren't, I mean, I'm baptized technically. I'm still a Mormon technically. But if I were trying to get back into the church, if I were trying to get back into the temple, they ask, do you pay a full tithe? I'm going to say no. And they say, well, you can't get a temple recommend. They're discriminating against me, against non-tithe payers. They're discriminating against drinkers for going into the temple. All that shit. Like, it's their fucking club. You want to go butt fuck a dude? Go do it somewhere else. It's fine. We don't care. But just go do it somewhere else. Like, go do it in a different club. We want to butt fuck, okay? In your club. No, the butt fucking dudes isn't allowed in our club. I'm going to make that illegal.
Mitchell Clark says, you guys are victims of Mormon story is discrimination. Poor victims. That is true, although maybe not. You got an email back from John DeLynn that you might be included on this mythical Charlie Kirk episode. I like how, so you were given, I don't know if we can show it or if you have it. You were given a list of rules and hurdles you had to jump to go on it. And I just think that's so funny. Like, if there was like a Lori Vallow court case, he'd be on in half an hour with, 7 different people, 2 of them he's never seen before. Like he puts people through those sorts of hoops for all that sorts of stuff. But what were the hoops that he asked you to jump?
It was less hoops and more of a homework assignment. Let me see if I can find the email. So I just messaged him. I said, hey, John, I saw your recent post about wanting to speak with Trump supporting ex-Mormons, and I fit that bill. Not a huge MAGA guy, but I definitely voted for Trump in the last 2 elections. I'd come on if you'd have me. And then the response was, shit, let's see. Jared, I'm excited, super excited. He didn't say super, I'm just kidding. I'm excited to pursue this idea. Please do me a favor by Friday if you can. And here's in his defense, if he doesn't email me back, I didn't actually see the email until Saturday, so I didn't reply in time. So in his defense, if he doesn't respond to me, I didn't meet his deadline. So he said, please respond to the following questions. Please be as concise as you can. 1, top 3 to 5 reasons you are Republican and or politically conservative. You consider yourself conservative. 2, what aspects of traditional or current Republicanism, conservatism do you disagree with? 3, what points of concern do you share with the opposing political side? 4, what would you propose to help reduce polarization politically and religiously in America and in Mormonism today? 5, how does Mormonism and or ex-Mormonism inform your politics if it does? 6, what is your relationship with the LDS Church these days? 7, what are your favorite Mormon Stories episodes and why? Please send me a 3-ish minute video describing why you want to be on the podcast, blah, 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 blah. Finally, please confirm the following via email. 1, that you are willing to, that you will be sending a video by Friday. 2, you are available to travel to Salt Lake City on a weekday during business hours within the next few weeks. We are willing to help with expenses if you need financial help and are chosen. 3, that you are 100% committed to appearing on the podcast if we choose you. Let me know if you have any other questions, and thanks for considering this idea.
So they might cover Charlie Kirk in 2026.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I
don't think
mean,
the episode's gonna even happen.
I don't either, but I wish I would have seen the email earlier so that I could get it in before Friday so that I could clown on him, but I can't really clown on him.
Well, we do know that Jonathan has volunteered himself for that episode.
Yeah. Forrest asked, there aren't rules in the church you wanted to have changed. Yeah, there's definitely rules I'd want to have changed. Like I'm with the whole Sam Young thing of like quit asking kids about sex stuff. And that could be like a policy thing. Like really, I don't think it's harmful for a young boy to go confess to his bishop that he looked at porn. I think the shitty part is when the bishop asks for specifics. Like that's fucking creepy. And the kid should be told, if the bishop does that, you come tell someone and we're going to kick his ass out of the bishopric right away. Tithing can fuck off. Like, we were talking about it earlier. Just pay for people's mission. You guys have so much money. Just pay for people's missions and pay for all this shit. And Forrest says, go to a different club if you don't like that rule. I did. That's what I did. Like I left. I mean, I didn't go to a different club, but I left the club. So yeah, I think there's things they should change. And also, the one difference I would say is that I think if they allowed gay marriage right now, the church would collapse within the next 10 years, if not 5. I think if they got rid of tithing being so ridiculous, it wouldn't fuck with them too much. You don't think it's fair to want things changed while a member?
Did you freeze or did I freeze? Read it again.
Oh,
the freeze might have been on my end, but
sorry. He said you don't think it's fair to want things changed while a member. I mean, it's fair, I guess, but there's certain things that are so foundational. It was. I mean, I don't know if you were here before, but Flip was mentioning a John Larson podcast where he said that like why the Mormon Church can't change on the gay issue. It just sort of foundationally, it changes the entire doctrine on the afterlife. Like blacks in the priesthood, that doesn't change the foundation of the afterlife, barring a few apostles who try to say that they're fence sitters and that they'll never reach the highest level of celestial kingdom. But the gay thing, that changes the afterlife entirely for Mormons. Like they...
I feel it would be like, so I'm unmarried and have had girlfriends in the past 20 years. I feel what the gay people would be asking would be similar to me asking them to allow me for temple marriage for whatever I've done with girlfriends not married, for 20 years. And I would never dream of asking that of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's just I guess it's the difference between big asks and little asks, and my asks feel more administrative because most of my issues with the church are administrative. They're not doctrinal, right? Because I mean, tithing isn't a doctrinal change because they have I mean they've had tithing being only on your excess when you can afford it before. The bishops asking 14-year-old girls how many fingers he put into you, that wouldn't even be a change. That would just be clamping down on, like, hey, you can't fucking do that.
They
That's
should have been
fricked up.
charged. That not just you're in trouble. Like you should be charged for asking little kids stuff like that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like Sam Young was on point with that. Like I'm totally on board.
Would there be a charge if just me as a regular adult asked that to a kid?
Yeah. It's
So
it's I mean, like I said, I watched a lot of Chris Hansen. So especially if you did it somewhere that was recorded, so it wasn't just a he said, she said, like it was on a text. If you did that, that's sexual aggravation of a minor over using a computer or something like that is the name of the charge in most states.
yeah, Charles says I've heard a bunch of members say they claimed not only. Sorry, I didn't read the whole thing. I've heard a lot of members claim they stay so they can help change things while still staying and supporting for overlooking everything. John Larson and actually some of his last or final episodes of appearing with John DeLynn, he used to advocate for leaving and leave alone, which is what we agree with if it doesn't fit with you. But he changed that tune around entirely and gave the whole Salt Lake City punk final scene thing of stay and jack up the system from within.
McClellan style.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I don't want to be an entryist, you know?
I wouldn't want to do it for whatever my politics would be, you know. Like
the thing is, I feel like my current relationship with the Mormon church is that, like, I think it's a net good. I think there's a lot of things they fuck up on, but I think there's more things they don't fuck up on. In fact, I think there's more things they actually do well on, like better than average. And so it's not like high praise, but it's pretty high praise coming from an ex-Mormon. But this feels, I don't know, you worded it in a different conversation very well when you said, I'm not a Trumper, I'm a Trump calm the fuck downist. I really like that, and I apply it to things like this. And like, I'm not like a Mormon, I'm a Mormon calm the fuck downist. Like and there's certain things where the Mormon church can calm the fuck down. I feel like the gay thing is too big of an ask, and it would collapse the thing. I'm looking at this all pragmatically, really. Like I feel like it's a net positive structure that does positive in the communities that it's in. And for that reason, I would like it to continue thriving. And I think that the McClellan style asks would crumble it right away. It would change it into something utterly unrecognizable. Sorry, I'm retarded. In like a 2-year period. Whereas when you think of changes that have been made over the last 100 and whatever years that the church has existed, yeah, it's probably somewhat unrecognizable from what it started out as, but those changes happened very gradually. It's a ship of Theseus thing. You can sort of hold claim to the ship of Theseus being the spiritual ship of Theseus, even after all the parts have changed, if you change them one at a time very slowly. But I don't know.
So for us, because he's polygamy and blacks are big ass. Yeah, this is one of the things I was kind of ragging on with the Bibliotheca's claim is just they assume every single issue is the same issue, and they're just it's complete apples and oranges just because it's a civil rights issue. And I know that Forrest knows that and doesn't think that. I know that Forrest would have a line of say like cut off at this thing here, like obviously like the thing we have on the screen here. I'm guessing Forrest wouldn't be so down with us. I don't know. Don't want to speak for you, but in Canada, they just barely approved a polyamorous gay relationship, which I guess this would be the world of Gerardo, what he'd be dreaming of nowadays, to have a kid. I like where's the line on stuff? Where's the sort of thing like, well, that thing's a little bit too far. The woke breaking point or something like that. But I could totally see this people saying our final line is just saying we're cool with gay marriage, like at least I don't know if temple marriage, but like at some level of stuff, and that being making sense that the church could still work like that. you, Forrest, how if the church flipped on gay marriage and the trans stuff, I don't know, is that too big ass? Am I are also jumping categories right there? Because that is a big category jump. Trans and gay marriage shouldn't be lumped in as the same concept because they're two totally different concepts. What do you think would happen to the church if they suddenly switch to letting gay temple marriages?
He said, "This picture reminds me more of polygamy than gay marriage, which the church was cool with." Yeah, I'm glad they're not anymore. I don't like polygamy. When I don't know, I'll sort of clown on some of the ex-Mormons for it's sort of ironic that they will shit on the church's polygamy while at the same time promoting ethical non-monogamy. It's kind of funny, but it's also, I understand that they're two different things. I understand that polygamy was like institutionally coercive in a lot of instances, but it's so I picture them different because polygamy had no blue hair septum ring feminists. It was just like hard practicality. I don't buy but our doctrine will not allow it.
But
No,
Forrest,
neither do I.
what would happen to the church if they allowed temple gay marriage? Like just move on like they did with the blacks coming in? Move right along, or would it be destructive to it continuing to exist the same way that it does? The polygamy thing, when I go back to the polygamy thing,
Forrest said same thing that happened when they banned polygamy. No.
well, some people left and some people stayed.
You know, there's plenty of people that left. I think it'd be a lot bigger if they suddenly came out with a proclamation saying that gay marriage is fine. Yeah, the polygamy lovers were pissed and left. You're right. Well, some of them were like, all right, I guess we're grandfathered in and we can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I don't think they'd coast right through that one so easily and remain who and what they are. I think it would start becoming like the Unitarian Universalist church, and they'd start hemorrhaging membership and that sorts of stuff is what I think would happen with that. And even beyond that, like the doctrine of like the families and all that sorts of stuff, like Flip said earlier, as John Larson used to ask, is so fundamental to supposedly what the core beliefs are. The polygamy thing all the way back then, if it wasn't with little kids, if there weren't any kids getting coerced into it, I don't think there should have been anything that the law should have made that illegal, unless some of the stuff that I think should be illegal about polygamy is if they're going to be getting multiple wives and then collecting government benefits for it because you can't take care of all that sorts of stuff.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty much to the point where polygamy should be illegal. If you asked me 10 years ago, like people asked me, like, do you think gay marriage should be legal? I was like, yeah. And they're like, does that mean you think like polygamy should be legal? I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's their thing. And I still think that, like, obviously, Utah has some insane overcorrection cohabitation laws that really fucked over the Brown family in the whatever that show is called, Sister Wives. And it like he was only legally married to one, and he was ceremoniously married to the other three. And that's how they got around it. But Utah has some weird cohabitation laws. I'm not up for that, right? Like, I don't think you should bar people from being degenerates in their own thing. But like, if it gets to the point where they're like, should the government recognize polyamorous marriages? I'm like, no, just fuck off. I'm not even going to explain why. Fuck off. It's like bestiality. I'm not explaining why bestiality should be illegal or incest. I'm not going to explain it. Like, I feel like I don't have to explain that at this point.
Yeah, I get back to the thing that I think the only stuff that should be state sanctioned, stuff that concerns the state, should be what creates a stronger state, moving towards family, stronger family units, procreation, all that sorts of stuff. Everything outside of that should just be, you're free to do it. You can legally do it. You can legally set up who you want to, be your partner and all that sort of stuff. Whatever, knock yourself out if you're adults. When it comes to adoption, that's always been a weird issue to me. But I don't think a polyamorous couple should be adopting. I would say no to that. It's just in
And
Canada.
the reason is because fuck you. I don't know. And I don't know. Go on.
No, I mean, I saw this going around of like, funny, I don't recall requiring context for Mr. Rogers, to quote Mr. Rogers. And
Yeah.
I just commented on it, and he has this song, and everybody pointed out, he has a song, boys are boys from the beginning, girls are girls from the start, only girls can be the mommies, only boys can be the daddies, Mr. Rogers. Are you going to shoot Mr. Rogers now? And it really does ostensibly still, if the story is what we think the story is that Charlie Kirk was shot for just disagreeing with these concepts that everybody on earth, nobody even thought much about them very much 10 years ago, let alone
Douglas Murray put it, the first thing we knew.
yeah, and just learned yesterday what you're supposed to think about it. Gay marriage thing, man. I don't think the Mormon church is going to allow the gay marriage thing to happen. I don't like, just going beyond all that, like Rebecca Bibliotheca is saying, you're going to have to do it in 15 years. Like, I don't think you're going to have to do it. I don't think it's the exact same issue as a...
Well, and her view on this is that you're going to have to do it in the next 15 years because the culture is going to shift so wildly in the progressive direction. And I think that's sort of a flaw in the premise. I don't think we're shifting toward progressivism.
Yeah.
There was everybody noted with the Trump election that like we're not shifting toward, like we're shifting the other direction. And this is something that any midwit can predict, that we've talked about. It's not like we're prophets. We've talked about this for years, that the pendulum is going to swing the other way, and it's going to swing hard. It's going to be fucking scary.
Yeah. You hope it doesn't like overswing too hard, for sure. Which it possibly could. The other stuff I had on here was, we could talk about Bill Real becoming a trauma coach in therapy stuff. Or what about this one? Joy Reid warns Americans of MAGA plans.
Oh, Christ. When I saw that, I was like, okay, even she's not that dumb, right? Even she. So I actually...
I thought it was fake. I thought it was fake.
I thought it was fake, too. I looked at the clip, and I found it. And actually says she warns about how their plans will lead to no income tax, no regulations, earn as much as you want, and leave it to your children with no taxes. That's the world they want. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say no regulations. I would definitely say way less regulations. But other than that, you fucking nailed it, Joy. When did you become a freaking MAGA apologist here? Especially that stupid thing. I've been hearing in lefty circles more often, that argument of being able to, like, putting 100% inheritance tax, which at that point, why even call it a tax? We're stealing your money after you die. You can't leave, and it's selfish to leave it to your kids.
Yeah. Would this stuff also fit the definition of fascism? No income tax. Would no fascism, no income tax, no regulation. In fascism, everything is for the state. Everything goes towards the state. The state is God. But MAGA, does she try to say in the same breath that this is fascist? The fascist, no income. The fascist, no regulations.
The fascists are going to try to take away your income tax.
The fascists are going to come take away your income tax.
Okay, you racist retard.
I like this thing here, that the 6 people steering the ship out of the fascist waters. I like to ask the question of, what is the bigger delusion? Is the bigger delusion that we are living under fascism, or is the bigger delusion is that if that really was Hitler over there, we're really dealing with Hitler, we're really dealing with Mussolini over there. Like, let's imagine we go back to that time frame right there. Are we confident that these guys are going to save us from real Hitler? These, like, AOC,
You got,
Gavin Newsom.
yeah, so
Go ahead.
you got 6 people in here. Up there, you got the guy who arrested a father and son for going alone to a park and throwing a football back and forth, closed down
Oh, yeah.
businesses, and when the businesses tried to stay open anyway, arrested the people trying to keep them open. You got AOC, and I don't know. I can't think of any authoritarian shit she's done. She's probably during COVID. I'm sure she did advocated for a ton of authoritarian shit. Pete Buttigieg, who says we should be mandated. All EVs in California by 2035 with zero plan on how the fucking power grid is going to handle that. You got Bernie Sanders who says bread lines are a good thing. I don't know. Who's that is that Jasmine Crockett at the bottom left?
Yeah, that's Jasmine Crockett. I don't know. Who's the guy in the middle? I don't know. Besides
Pritzker, I think.
Oh.
Like, yeah, these are the people. You want the guy who arrested a father and son for playing catch in a park when they weren't supposed. It's a guy that's going to fight fascism for you, huh? And the guy who clearly didn't believe in any of that shit since he was photographed in a party, nobody wearing masks or anything like that. Shut the fuck up, Gavin Newsom, you hack.
I don't know why I had to ask Grok, but I did anyway. Is no income tax and no regulations part of fascism? It gave me a long answer. You can guess what it says. It says no.
Ask it for a 3-word answer.
Let me see. 1 sentence answer. No income tax and no regulation are not tenets of fascism, which relies on heavy state control and taxation to enforce national goals.
Yeah. No shit.
Data Republican, nearly every protest you look at will be sponsored by teachers' unions, and this is why anti-fascists and communists have infiltrated the education system and made their way. Data Republican has all the backup on this. The thing about all this stuff is I don't know, you have to sit here and prove it. It's not hard to look up. It's not hard to get details about it. All sorts of people are getting into how these things are funded through NGOs, and they've been on the take for years, pushing stuff around and doing these circular things with the government, which fascism is, by definition, public-private partnerships, which is a thing of those same people you were talking about. But I know you are, but what am I? It never seems to work very well with people. Freedom Tunes, a migrant could harpoon a dolphin at sea world, and Twitter lefties would be like, oh, so fishing is only okay when white people do it. I don't know. All that stuff's just getting... It's like... There's all this infighting on the right lately, and especially weird stuff. I didn't even get into Candace Owens. I was going to talk about Candace Owens, and I'm not going to have the time because I'm going to have to walk the doggy here. But Candace has been an absolute dingback. My other computer just conked out.
I feel very justified in my immediate opinion of Candace Owens. There's actually never been a time I liked Candace Owens.
Yeah, and her conspiracy would have to be so vast and so wide for what she's pulling up. Everybody on TP USA is in on it. Most Utahns are in on it. They're probably all suspicious, every single Utahn, and just everything in the world. But there's so much infighting going on the right now, and the Democrat side has not gained 1% at all in the polls. Meantime, with that, they're so just generally unpopular right now.
It's crazy how they just can't. How could you not take this moment as an opportunity to, I don't know, appeal to some people? They're so fucking bad at what they do.
Well, so there was this huge thing this week that Ezra Klein and Ta-Nehisi Coates had a whole discussion, which they're darling supposed giant brains of the left. And Ezra Klein put out a thing of what if we ran a pro-life Democrat in red states? And they lost their minds on him. They lost their absolute minds. He put out another article saying, hey, Charlie Kirk was doing the right thing. He was having discussions. He was having discussions with people. That's the democratic process. And Ta-Nehisi Coates came in and dressed him down in this podcast for it, and everybody cheered Ta-Nehisi Coates, the massive midwit, about doubling down on all sorts of types of things. Like, don't, how dare you say this? And it's like they cannot gain any traction anywhere about being sensible on anything, and or just the politics of making a compromise on something to win in a state in different areas. And it's just been one of the more frustrating things in the world that they're so bad at it. You know, you watch them all and you just kind of go, why can't you guys put together? Not only that, like the writing's been on the wall for like what they've been doing with all these different NGOs for so long, and the way they've interacted with social media groups, and the way that they've just gone in these weird draconian ways rather than just win arguments and be persuasive to people in normal ways. It's all been through this weird, it almost kind of feels like the worst of religious pressure when it's done in the wrong and bad way. You know what I mean? Like, it's just believe our stuff, because if not, you're one of the baddies, and that's it. And that's what they've been doing for years, and just developed a whole bunch of weird backdoor ways of enforcing that through media.
Imagine the "Are we the baddies?" thing, but instead of wearing a Nazi hat with a skull on it, he's like got a Ukrainian refugee slumped over his shoulder that he just saved the life of from a criminal, and he's like, "Hans, are we the baddies?"
Yeah.
Oh no, you just saved the life of a girl. And then some Michel Foucault lefty comes in and tries to explain why they actually are the baddies.
Well, but one of the things, like, if you look at Ezra Klein or Ta-Nehisi Coates, like what you see, you can actually like pinpoint to almost all lefty academia to this, ever since Marxism failed, has been don't learn from it and change. It's get more theorists who can theorize and build more and more wild theories and scaffolding around those theories to justify why it didn't work. You know, we'll create the dialectic of the Enlightenment through Adorno and the Frankfurt Schoolers and all that sorts of stuff, or postmodern answers, all these sorts of things, except for just accepting what didn't work. And the Ta-Nehisi Coates thing is everybody's sitting there and thinking like, well, maybe we do have to talk with people. And Ta-Nehisi Coates just kind of comes in and gives them permission to double down and say, no, we don't talk with racists unless that we're done talking. And they're just looking for the way you become a celebrated intellectual on the left is come up with some tangentially plausible reason to double down on your shit. That's really all it is like not really any sorts of arguments of why something might be better, where it's just double down on what's not working. We don't need to keep talking. We don't need to have discussions. We don't need to persuade people. You're just a baddie. You're just a epithet. Way to go. Candace is probably mentally Candace. So this is the most I've ever watched Candace, and it's like I'm watching a car wreck. I've seen Candace in the past, but I probably at most watched 5 full episodes of her in the past, and then just when she came on other people's stuff here and there.
Yeah.
I've watched her every day since the Charlie Kirk thing, and sometimes not very closely because she drives me crazy, so I'm like half listening. But it's been a masterclass in how to think like a conspiracy theorist. I hadn't thought about it before. Like, how would you make a conspiracy out of this? And I didn't think of stuff that she would do. Like, anybody gets interviewed anywhere, like, look at that one person and say, what's this person's name? Where do they work? Where do they go to school? There's just somebody randomly interviewed on the news as a witness. Like, look into them. Look into them. Who are they?
Did they get defensive when I accused them of the murder of Charlie Kirk?
Did they get defensive when I asked who are they? It was wild this week that she started blaming, if not insinuating, that Phil Lyman, the person who ran for governor in Utah against Spencer Cox, and there was some weird stuff around that just in the sense of people kind of feel Spencer Cox pulled some kind of Democratic Party, the way they pushed out Bernie Sanders, just that sort of stuff, that he was kind of pushed out of the primary for him. People kind of believe by Cox, but not like weird that it was like outside of politics. But she's blaming that guy of possibly having pulled the trigger, and then when she started,
because that's even more stupid. Like, so if you started blaming Spencer Cox, that would be there's almost basically a zero. There's pretty much a 0% chance that Charlie Cox was in on it, right? Or Governor Cox, whatever his first. I don't know, but blaming this guy, the runner up to him, that's even less of a chance. Because like Governor Cox is more globalist, less MAGA. I mean, he's put his fucking pronouns up in his bio before. Like, but there's still zero part of me that thinks he had anything to do with Charlie Kirk's murder. And then there's less than zero to think this other guy had anything to do with it. That's so retarded.
Well, not only that. So when she starts asking him, because he gets mad, that's a sign that's weird. That's weird. Why is he doing it? Why is he getting mad?
You accused him of murder, you stupid bitch.
And then she looks into supposed staffers that he knows or kids who grew up on the street with him. She's, why are you talking to this kid? That's weird. You're talking to this kid. And then she looks into those kids to see if they did anything, and then asks about the staff. She starts going to like, and who's this other kid here who was hanging around the staffer who maybe this kid was the shooter because he hung out with Phil Lyman and he's of the same age and that sort of stuff. We need to learn about who this kid is. He's got a German name. This kid's got a German name. Tomorrow we're going to bring you more detail on the German name of the random kid who kind of knows Phil Lyman, who might somehow be involved with this. And you're like, holy shit, we are so far down the line of who we're looking into here of like a possibility. And you're saying, you're giving us like teasers of wait for tomorrow when we find out about this weird tangential kid who knows us, a person who ran for governor in Utah who probably wasn't in it but could be it. We're going to give you all the scoop on who this weird German kid is.
Dude, if I were half as conspiracy minded as Candace Owens is, and like make no mistake, there's a decent portion of me that doesn't believe she's conspiracy minded at all, that she's just a disgusting liar, right? Like there's a good part of me that thinks she's just lying about everything she says, but she's pretty smart at knowing what will drum up clicks. But when her and Tucker Carlson are talking about how Nick Fuentes is a plant to make the right look bad, like if I were half as conspiracy minded as her, I would start thinking that about her. Like,
yeah,
does she not realize? Like she right now is actually
she is the one
making the right wing look way worse than Nick. Like Nick Fuentes even came out and said, "Guys, look, I fucking
throwing
hate
everybody
Israel,
off the real scent,
and I don't think that they did this." And Candace Owens, who accused him of being the fake right winger, is like, "It was Israel." So you don't have to like Israel. I don't really like them at all. Like I don't. they're corrupt as shit. But come on,
just today,
why would they do this?
Everybody at TPUSA is acting weird. They all know they're all in on something. And then they were cleaning up the site after the thing. Why were they cleaning up the site afterwards? Okay. Why were they cleaning up the site? I think that's just weird. Okay. You know, or she's making all these faces all the way through it and then saying stuff like, I feel in my bones that something's happened there. When I feel it's right. I don't know, but I know.
I don't know, but I know. Yeah, that's
and I feel that that's just true. And I feel that that's just brazenly just admitting this is just coming from her gut, something. And then, just today, there was a thing. Look, they finally interviewed somebody who seemed to be a real girl, okay, who was a real witness, okay. Why is this just the first witness? Candace, I've talked to my friend who was there. It's like not hard to get a witness. You just don't know people in Utah. But we're talking to a real girl, and then they show the girl, and they say, so I looked up who this girl was, and it turns out she worked for the police. Okay, that's weird. Okay, she works for the police. What was she doing to the Charlie Kirk event? Okay, she just doesn't go to work. People don't go to work in Utah. Okay. And you're like, dude, Charlie Kirk coming is an event, especially for conservative types in Utah. They would get the time off to go to that.
Yeah, well, and I mean, what are the odds you would find a single person who at one point worked for the cops in a massive crowd of Charlie Kirk supporters?
It's so dumb.
I bet you could find an Irish Catholic in that crowd. I bet you could. And maybe it was the Irish Catholic Church.
But
I'm not saying I don't know, but I know.
Every single thing is a possible clue and it's a possible weird thing, okay? And we're going to go down this, and it's like you could just make infinite stuff on this, infinite rabbit holes if it's everybody's under suspicion of the 2,000 people that were there. And it's annoying. It's irritating. But anyway, that's enough of that. There was other stuff we were going to I can't get to it all. I'm hitting the time frame, and my dog's been chewing on my toes already. And
good.
I
got a hungry baby. I gotta go
Candace, Nick, was it the G?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the way they wanted to skip a few. She finally brought up that maybe possibly it could have been Ukraine today, okay? Because there was a hit list. There was a hit list from Ukraine, and Charlie Kirk's name was on that hit list, but I hadn't thought of them until now. And I'm not going to go because Netanyahu, okay? He said this stuff about this letter, and then they released the letter. Yeah, I don't believe that letter.
Did she say that?
Yeah.
That's hilarious because I can't remember who I was listening to, but they were going over the letter and they were like, yeah, I mean, if Candace Owens reads this, and it doesn't sound as bad as she thinks it was going to sound, she's just going to say, I don't believe this letter. That's so predictable. Holy fuck.
Oh, it's so funny too because I forget his name, but somebody covered. I can send you the video, but he's talking about
who is Gary DB?
I don't know.
So I'm looking at both the chats right now, and I'm looking at the I see his comments in the StreamYard chat, and I'll see them briefly on the YouTube chat, and then they disappear. It's weird, and I don't know. I know you're not.
Maybe YouTube thinks it's some sort of
I don't know. But he said Macron wife is a dude. Come on, yeah, that was. I watched a couple of her episodes on that. I was like, this is retarded.
She brought it up again today. She's still holding on to that, even though they're just trying to bankrupt me. Okay, what's what they're doing? Okay, but what was the thing? So there's this guy showed this whole video about. She started the whole thing on who says vehicle? Who says vehicle? Nobody says vehicle. Nobody says vehicle. And then there was like a highlight to across the past couple weeks. She said vehicle about 20 different times. Well, not to mention they have footage of the kids saying vehicle.
Well, she showed the footage of the kids saying car, and then she cut it off like 2 minutes before he described it as a vehicle. So I'm like, okay, either you're like a little ADHD spurg who can't watch the whole thing. And I don't think that's the case. I think you knowingly got rid of that part.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to watch that. But I mean, it's generally frustrating to watch any channel talk about this stuff now. And like we said last week, just the general concept that everybody's mad that the entire investigation is not in front of them right now. And if the entire investigation that could take 2 years to actually investigate, who knows? If that whole entire thing is not in front of me right now, they're lying to me and keeping stuff from me. Like even PBD's podcast and whoever, just the general thing that everybody thinks that all the information is already supposed to be ready and available and out there. And people who could talk about it aren't talking about it because that wouldn't throw off the case. They were just mentioning today at Turning Point that one video that Candace demanded to see, luckily they had 3 cameras back there, but that one video that she demanded to see is now not admissible because it was shown to Candace. That's part of the problem with this shit. You know,
oh God,
why aren't they just releasing it again? Why not just release them? Because then it wouldn't be admissible in court, or they could risk that. You know, it's so dumb. But I don't know.
Dumbass.
The one stuff, some of the stuff that does still throw me off is I've been watching some 30-06 videos and seeing how that stuff blows up. I found this other thing that has 5 or 6 different past cases where 30-06s did not leave the body. You can look them up and find them. I could forward the article on that, but who knows if like that leaves the size of a thing of a hole or something like that. People are saying that's got to be an exit wound. That's got to be an exit wound, but it's a shot like right on the jugular. Like, does the jugular just start bleeding immediately like that? I think it does. You know, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, the jugular is gonna spurt out blood, but I don't know. I don't know enough about guns to really refute it. I've seen a couple guys say like if it was a 30-06, it would have blown his head off. Really.
I've watched some stuff where that blows it blows stuff. Like I saw it shoot through a femur on a cow and all that sorts of stuff. And it wasn't a live cow or anything like that. It was just like a standing femur, but it's still just hard to judge from like the down angle and the bullet. I saw some things that like there has been people who've talked about released autopsy. They said there was no autopsy for a while. There's an autopsy that's lodged and then it broke up. So there's multiple parts inside his body.
Candace is going to cause a fucking mistrial for this kid, isn't she?
Yeah. Which might be a second thing. They go, what are you doing, Candace? You know what I mean? You are making it difficult and impossible to like have that sort of thing happen. But it's also like most of the people shooting are shooting these big fancy modern guns. This is a World War I gun. And who knows how old the bullet was. They say it's broken up inside his body and it lodged inside some neck things. And Who knows? I don't. I still think the official story is 100% plausible, and people just declaratively announcing that it isn't are wrong. They don't have full. There's the main story. I'm not saying it couldn't be something else, but the main story is still 100% plausible. I get that the text messages are horse crap, but there could be. That is what they read, and there's going to be or could be some explanation for why he was talking like that.
Want to hear a funny Jonna Spengler interaction?
Yeah.
Before we go, so she's talking. She replied to my post with some dumb shit. Had a couple exchanges, and Forrest asked her, "Do you consider yourself pro-choice?" What do you think she said?
Some long winding answer of not wanting to give.
How'd you know? She said, I am both pro-life and pro-choice. That sounds like a contradiction, perhaps. To me, it isn't. I value life. I also think we shouldn't legislate women's bodies. I also think we need to consider rights of a fetus. I also think women's health needs to be a priority. I don't think there are easy, trite answers, and I mourn that Roe versus Wade was done away with. It's complicated. And so I just replied to her. I was like, he's asking if you're pro-legal abortion or against legal abortion, and you know that. Fucking idiot. You know what he's saying. I call it the principle of you know what the fuck I meant.
Yeah. Hey.
Fucking hatchling retard.
That's nuance.
Nuance is that I can hold two contradicting views. Also, all those religious people, they have cognitive dissonance, which means that sometimes they hold two contradicting views.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta go get my kid.
Yep, I gotta get running
break.
too. Thanks for chilling, everybody. Have a good one.
See ya.
Later.